Hi, everybody. Welcome in. It is, the rant, I guess, live from the south side of Chicago in the beautiful Kelly Moore Memorial Studios. I am Pugs Moran, your daily guide through the life's stories. We talk about hot topics, current events, lifestyle stuff, pop culture, whatever it is. Whatever it is that we are going through, we talk about it. It is talk radio the way talk radio used to be. Nonpartisan, non-political. I don't care how you voted. This isn't about that. We just don't think. We're not a hive mind. We're individuals, and we gather here every day. We've been doing it each and every day at noon-ish, sometimes 2, but it was noon most of the time for a very long time. So please, I'm happy you're here. Join the chat room, why don't you? Okay. Podium. Every day we like to reward the chat room. The chat room is a lively group of people, a lot of different walks of life in that chat room, and yet, it's peaceful. It's peaceful because it's manageable. We're not a popular show. We're trying to be. We're trying to be through consistency, but that doesn't always work. Sometimes, you got to have a good host, and maybe that's not who I am. But the chat room never gives up on me. They're here each and every day. And I like to take a F1 kind of view of my chat room, the podium. We like to award a podium. That's first place, second place, and third place into the chat room at the start of the show. And I got to tell you, man, it's the boys. The boys today. We've got Mikey D in first place, Barney in second place, and the Dark Lord Byron in third. Guess who just got back today? Them wild-eyed boys that have been away. That's I love that song. Like, that song is so great, but that song is like a perfect song to be turned into a, the lounge kind of thing. You can croon that Thin Lizzy song. The boys are back in town. Boys are back in town. Could you see with a big band? I could just see that. I don't know. That's how I like to imagine it. Anyway, the boys, congratulations to the podium. It's Mikey D, it's Barney, and it's Byron. We also have an executive producer today. It's a soft rollout. It's a soft rollout for Pledge Week. It is the second day of the new month. This show runs on your gratuities, your tips, your kindnesses, all of that stuff. And each and every day, we like to reward the position of executive producer. The executive producer of each and every day is the person who took care of the show via tip the day before. That is today, Leslie C. Thank you, Leslie C. No joke. Show's got like $39. I'm not kidding. It's like $39. And Leslie C is, a big part of that 39. So thank you as we soft roll into a Pledge Week. Anyway, enough of that. Here's what I want to talk about real quick. Yesterday's show. Today's show is going to be very different than yesterday's show. Yesterday's show, there was something wrong with me. I don't know what it was. I was like having trouble. The weird weather was, I'm not going to blame it on any of that. But those were all things going on. So I don't know. Context is important, I suppose. But yesterday, I was in a fog the entire show. It was like I was high or something. Not even, because I've done shows where I've been high and I've been dialed in. This was just like a weird brain fog where my next thought wasn't there. Typically, when I do this show, this is a stream of consciousness, and it relies on the fact that there's always another hot take on deck, right? Ready to go. I can extemporaneously speak and have extemporaneously spoken for 4 hours on these streams from time to time. 4 hours plus. But yesterday was the strangest day in all the years that we've been doing this show. I'm trying to make points, and I don't have any thought behind. Now, a lot of you are like, yeah, well, you're pretty dumb. So no, that wasn't it. I wasn't in my trouble sleeping last night about the show. Man, like 1:30 in the morning, I got YouTube open and I'm like watching me and I'm going, fuck, that is not how I meant to say that. But I didn't have the articulation, and I didn't have, for some reason, it was a brain fog. Now, I don't know, like, is this the beginning? Oh, geez, here's how it starts, right? Is this the beginning of, me being a vegetable in 5 years? I don't know. We're at that age, right? We're at that age where every little thing is like, oh, Jesus, is this new? Is this new where I forget where I put my car keys? I forget how the remote works. I don't remember how the remote works. How do I, I'm not saying those are happening, but are those the things I have to look forward to? Anyway, yesterday was a very strange show for me, performative wise. I was really, really struggling. And you know how you know I was struggling? Because at some point, Frank in the chat room said, "What's wrong with Pugs?" And I reacted like there was nothing wrong with me. I reacted defensively, I think. I was like, shut up. You hit home. You're right. There was something. It was the only way I can compare it is it's like a day where I took cold medicine, but I didn't take any cold medicine. And I'd gotten a good night's sleep. I was just in a fog all day yesterday, and I don't know why. Now, other contextual, little contributors might be, I've got a lot going on. I got my kid coming to town. I'm thinking about a million different things. I'm trying to create some kind, I don't even want to go into that, but I got a lot going on. So maybe that was it. But I've always been able to take the 2 hours out for this day and just dial in. So I apologize for yesterday's show. Also, it should be said, I ignorantly tackled subjects yesterday that I should have known better. I should have been like, nah, man, I'm not on my game for this. I'm trying to make a tightrope, very nuanced argument that shouldn't be offensive to anybody, just an opinion. But because of the world we live in, you have to be so nuanced and articulate and really artful with the way you try and make these statements. And I failed miserably yesterday. And I'm sorry. I feel good today. If that's any consolation, I feel like I'm pretty dialed in. Don't want to do any topics or anything like that from yesterday, but we will get into a whole bunch of stuff. Like, first of all, here, this is, I'm a little distracted here. Hold on. All right, let me show you guys something. All right, so you know how my Facebook page got hacked? My Facebook page got hacked a couple of months ago. My Google got hacked. All kinds of shit. I don't know, man. No money got taken, thank God. Probably because there is no money to take. But what little there was, nothing like that. Nothing I need to report to the police or anything. No theft. I don't think there's been any use of credit cards or anything. No. But something jacked up happened. And you guys saw evidence of that with my Facebook page. So I had to start a new Facebook page. And, I've been, I don't know who... I'll never have. I had a really nice big Facebook page before that got hacked. Had all kinds of videos and stuff that I'll never see again. But friends and followers and all that stuff, I don't know what they're called on Facebook. Facebook friends. I had a lot of them. And now I got very little on my Facebook page, Pugs Moran. But I'm getting a lot of people who are like, hey, I want to be your friend. And I'm like, oh, maybe this is someone from the old 105.3 page or whatever. I'll give you an example. What's going on here? Should we see how this works? Because I honestly, I'm getting tired of this. All right, here we go. Can you guys see down here at the bottom? I got Alexis and I got Cheryl. It's like all these chicks sliding into my DMs. I know they're all fake, but it's hard to know who's fake without having to engage. Like, quite frankly, I have a lot of attractive old friends. Like older, there's a lot of attractive women whose names I don't know. And I'm looking at them, I'm like, wait, do I know this person? Or am I going to just say hi? And then they're going to be like, $25 to my OnlyFans. All right, so let's try Alexis. All right, so we got Alexis right here. I don't know what Alexis's deal is. Oh, maybe we should look at her page first. Okay, view profile. There we go. Okay, let's look at her page. All right, she's in LA. I probably don't know her. She's got 50 friends. All right, a bunch of like thirsty vids of her. Okay, so this one I'm guessing we can pretty much guarantee that Alexis is not real. All right, let's look at Cheryl. 36 lost. Okay, same thing, right? Yeah, I don't know either of these chicks. All right. So what is that? I mean, are they banking on the fact that we have an epidemic of 50-something single lonely men in America? Is that what's going on? Because I don't understand how so many of these things. When I used to look at porn in my younger days, I used to marvel at how many girls, like if you just go like, oh, show me all the porn stars. And then it's like 40,000 pages of just, and I'm like, what? This many girls? So now we have like the OnlyFans thing, and I've never been on OnlyFans. I don't even know what OnlyFans is. And by the way, don't, I'm not going to judge you. But if you know anything about it in the chat room, explain how it works. Like, can I go there for free? See, I've always figured that you nothing's free. I'm not interested in paying for anything, so I've never even. But you cannot deny that people from you hear these endless stories about these 19-year-old girls who, 20 years ago would be a stripper who would make $2,000 a night. And like, oh, she made $6,000 over the weekend. And you're like, holy shit, these strippers are making money. Well, now it's OnlyFans and they're making like $400,000 a month. And I jokingly, a couple of days ago, I think we were discussing something OnlyFans related because it is such a major part of current American culture. I think I jokingly said, well, if I was a girl, I would do it. I don't know that that's necessarily true. And I think I also said, what I think I said was if there was a market for me on OnlyFans, and by the way, there probably is. There probably is a market for me on OnlyFans. But when the rubber hits the road, doesn't this become a real question of one's morality and the protection of, man, it just seems, oh God, I think that women should be able to use their sexuality as in the same way that men use other things to get ahead in the world or whatever. I've always championed that. I think that women should be. I believe that regulated prostitution should be a thing. Well, why wouldn't it? First of all, let's stop acting like the women are. There's a lot of lonely guys out there. There's a lot of lonely guys and there's a lot of women with single kids to feed and the bullshit of going out on dates. And I don't see anything wrong with it until, as I said, rubber hits the road, until you are the person who is making that sort of decision to leverage. Again, my moral upbringing says that is leveraging your soul for money. It's desperation, and it's not great spiritually, is how I feel about it. But I don't think it should be illegal. I think that people who are in desperate times have to confront the reality of their situation and how they survive the next moment with the morality that they carry just as an inherent person who was raised by people who instilled morality. And you say, oh, Pogs, but anyone who becomes a prostitute or anything like that probably wasn't raised by people with morality. Dude, there are tens of thousands of girls on Instagram. Are you telling me? So what's curious to me is that I guess a lot of people, this is maybe a generational thing. This is the generation, again, another generation, canary in the coal mine shit. My kid is a 17-year-old boy. I don't know. He's never been caught. But I assume he has seen hardcore pornography on the internet by the time he was 12. We never saw that stuff. We found Playboy magazines in a garage. We looked at National Geographic in the school library. This whole generation is hypersexualized to a degree that we never were. Could you imagine if in 1985, when we were, kids, 12, 13, 14, going through the puberty and all that, can you imagine if we had access to to tube porn? It'd be crazy. Why do you think the Farrah Fawcett poster sold so well in America? Because we didn't have tube porn. Why do you think boys' rooms don't have girls in bikinis anymore? They don't need it. Anyway. I really think that what we are seeing is a generation of young girl who has been hypersexualized in an era where access to hardcore pornography is than ever before. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's what I'm saying. And we're seeing a shift in what the base morality of the average American boy and girl is. Is that deficient parenting? Well, I'm not going to say that because I've already decided that this generation is the canary in the coal mine, and we had no idea what we were dealing with, and where we can't, as parents of Gen Zers, absolve ourselves completely. We can't say, look, learn from our mistakes. The next few generations have to be raised differently than Gen Z. The next few generations cannot have unbridled access. Homes should probably not have internet access anymore for the next couple of generations. Seriously. I mean, a return to, well, I mean, I guess you can't. Phones, how do you do it? You do it with phones. Kids don't get phones anymore. We used to give a phone to a kid at 10 years old because it shut them up. Kids don't get phones till they're 18. I don't know. Anyway, there you go. Little riff on OnlyFans. And just the endless girls who are out there fishing for lonely men. I mean, I never engage with those things. I'll take them all. I'll take them all as follows or whatever. I mean, anything any port in a storm, right? All right, let's say hi to the chat room. Again, our podium today, the first guys in, Mikey D, Barney, and then Byron, the Dark Lord. We've also got, let's see, who else do we have in here? Let's say hi to, oh boy, there's Taronda. That's why I was looking. I was like, where's Taronda today? Taronda, April, Mama B. Leslie C., our executive producer. Thank you so much. Let's see. Jen. There's Jen. Adam's here. You're starting early, Adam. You're starting early. Yeah, everyone pretty much agrees that those girls were all pretty much fake. Mike says delete the bots. Mike says delete the bots, even if super hot. Nah, I'm not deleting any followers, man. I gave up like thousands of followers when I got hacked. I need as many as I can. April says subscription fees, then pay lots of money for solo content or get dirty socks, man. Yes. I don't know. It's just, I mean, if you're a mother of it, look, we've parents of boys, 17-year-old Gen Z boys, we got our home. I mean, does he even know what a real person is? I don't know. We got our own problems with the boys, but girls, and then specifically on the subject of this whole OnlyFans thing, I don't know. I don't know. Because the money is insane. The money is insane. This Sophie Rain person, who I don't even know who she is, she has absolutely zero talent other than the fact that, what does she do? Does she have sex on OnlyFans? She is celebrated in mainstream circles. Is she, honestly, does she have sex? Is that her thing? I don't know if is she like full-on penetration porn star on OnlyFans, or is she just a 19-year-old with big boobs and a bikini who makes like $100 million a year? I threw that number out there. No, she makes an insane amount of money a year. She makes like over $1 million. You know what? Just AI. Let's just ask AI. Can you please tell me who Sophie Rain is, what talent she possesses, and how much money she makes a year? All right, let's find out. Because you know what, man? Morality schmorality. Sophie Rain is a 21-year-old. Oh, should I show you a picture? I guess we should see a picture of her. Nope. Let's see. Where would be the best pictures? And I don't want any nude pictures. Sophie Rain, not naked. Okay. Here we go.
Here's what I found.
All right. Oh, okay. All right. So here she is. So this is who we're talking about. All right. All right. So this girl, she's cute, but she looks like the cutest girl at the mall. I don't know how special she is and why she makes the money. I mean, she's hot. She's a super hot mid-American girl. I don't. All right, so let's just leave it there. All right, that's the one we'll leave it on. So this girl. Let's learn about this girl. Okay. She's a 21-year-old American internet personality, social media influencer, and highly successful adult content creator. So she's a porn star? Because why is it that porn stars of the past 40 years have been easily relegated to the dark fringes of Hollywood? But now suddenly, if you're a porn star on OnlyFans, you're walking high-profile runways among America's elite. What happened? Sophie Rain is a 21-year-old, blah, blah, blah. She's a highly successful adult content creator. She originally gained widespread viral attention after transitioning from her job as a waitress in Florida, Hooters, I'm guessing, to creating content online. Her talent. She leverages short-form videos. Let's see, hold on. Adult, and her primary monetization talent, this is what I'm looking for, is modeling and producing exclusive subscription-based adult photos and videos. She is the co-founder of Bop House, a collaborative group where digital creators cross-promote each other's content. She is highly skilled at digital marketing. Her annual income is reported to be between $43 and $83 million a year. What is the price of your morality? See, do you see how difficult these questions become? My God, Sophie Rain's dad is like, but fuck, $40 to $80 million a year. There has never been a porn star in the history of porn who has made that in a career. Just insane. Man, the world is just, there's something wrong with the world, man. There is something absolutely wrong. All right, let's talk about the show, right? Let's get into what we're going to do today. All right, we're going to cover some of the top stories of the day very quickly. I'm going to delve into the Melania before she met Donald story. Oh, this is a crazy story. This Amanda Ungaro, who we're going to listen to her, she won't shut up about it. If you remember, Amanda Ungaro apparently gave an interview to the Washington Post, I think it was, a couple of months ago. And the day that it was released, Melania, remember, she ran out and gave a press conference. She's never done it before, but on this particular day, she tried to get out ahead of this story. And she said, I do not know Jeffrey Epstein. Remember, she said that. Well, her friend Amanda Ungaro is her former friend, undeniable former friend. They were like buddies. Her friend Amanda Ungaro is now just running her mouth. And we've got some audio of her. When you hear her voice, oh my God. Oh my God. How bad must someone's voice be for you to go, God, she's one of the most gorgeous supermodels I've ever seen, but listen to her. She sounds like Marge Schott. Anyway, we're going to listen to that. So we're going to dig in a little bit to that story. We're going to find out what it is that Amanda Ungaro is saying about the current First Lady of the United States. It'll be fun. Missing scientists. We've got a missing scientist story here. Update for you. One of the missing scientists that we've been covering here for the last few months has been found. Not good. Not good. We'll bring you up to speed on that. Yesterday, I teased that I was going to talk about the Chicago Bears stadium issue because it's a very big story here locally. It's a fairly significant story around the NFL. They've been talking about it nationally, but it's more than just a local Chicago story. It's more about how these businesses, these billion-dollar professional sport franchise, multi-billion-dollar professional sport franchises leverage our love, our fandom for their financial benefit. And they do it at the behest of politicians that we vote for. And we are seeing the ramifications of that right now in the state of Illinois with the Chicago Bears, very likely moving across the street from just stepping over State Line Road and building their stadium on the lake in Whiting, Indiana, or Hammond. I'm not entirely sure where the boundary line is. But That's looking like it's a reality. And I couldn't be happier about it. Because what it says about the government of the state of Illinois. And I'll explain that. Very rare is it for me to say anything good about anything that is done legislatively here in the state of Illinois. Short of the weed legalization, that was pretty good. I like that they didn't hesitate with the mobile phone gambling. That was good too. Freedoms. They seem to be big on freedoms in this state. Free money. That's not great. Can I get some of that free money? Hey, now that I live in Illinois, shouldn't I mean, look, I'm 50. I'm an unemployable 50-something-year-old guy. I should be on, as my British friends say, the dole. Why wouldn't I be? If the billionaires are all on the dole, a different kind of dole, but certainly mine isn't nearly as bad as theirs. So who knows? Because we got 19-year-old girls with big boobs and mid-faces who are making $80 million a year. That's why I'm going to go on the dole. I wonder what what's the etymology of that? Dole. I don't know. Anyway, so we'll talk about that, the Bears Stadium issue, but we're going to talk about that today because the Mavs are moving, and the Mavs are moving to Valley View, which... again, this is really, I love this. Can I just tell you how much I love this? I love that they figured out a way to stay in the city of Dallas. I love that the Mavericks are going to reclaim an area of town that been pretty sketchy, pretty sketchy. Anyway, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the Bears and the Mavericks issue. We got an update on Chud. We got some great news out of the Howard Stern show that we'll share with you. We got some videos that we're going to watch. Black crows are acting like assholes. What a surprise. What a surprise, you say. We're going to break down what happened at a Black Crowes concert in Florida. It should be no surprise to anyone that Chris Robinson behaved inappropriately. Freedom, whatever. You pay to go see the Black Crowes. They can say what they want, and I'm certainly not one of these people who thinks that rock stars shouldn't have their political opinions. This wasn't about a political opinion. This was about how Chris Robinson behaved when somebody... We'll get into it. I mean, you're going to be like, what, Pugs? What? Rock stars shouldn't speak against what's happening in Washington? Dude, I'm the biggest Bruce Springsteen fan you know. If I could afford it, I'd go to one of these Springsteen shows. I love that man. I think that guy has demonstrated over the years that he has consistently got the interest of the working man in his heart. He's for us, not for them. He has never wavered on that. And we've made him a king because of it. Anyway, so don't give me that. But Chris Robinson was out of line, and we'll talk about exactly what went down or what is reported to have gone down. We'll also do our 3 vids. Got some fun free vids today. We're going to keep it optimistic and happy because we choose to be optimistic and happy around here. And then, of course, I've got another edition of Can't Beat Fun at the Old Ballpark. Today's Can't Beat Fun at the Old Ballpark is going to be we're going to look at the future of baseball. That's right, another innovation. Oh, I'm a big fan. I can't tell you how much of a fan I am of the pitch clock. And I cannot express loud enough and confidently enough how much I believe the Ghost Runner has fixed baseball. The Ghost Runner is one of the most pleasurable innovations. First of all, it's brought back the bunt. The bunt! For those, I'm an old catcher. I should hate the bunt, right? But I was pretty good at bunts. I like the bunt. The bunt is now back. Why? Because of the Ghost Runner. You start out with a guy on second base. You just bunt the first guy. Bunt. Move that guy from second to third. All you need is a fly ball, and my God, we're going home. We're not staying here as late. The Ghost Runner is incredible. Anyway, there's a new innovation, ABS. We talked about that. ABS, being able to challenge balls and strikes, which, I particularly like. Because that's the golden rule of baseball. From the time that you are 5 years old, just the first time you're off a tee and you're seeing live pitching, it's you don't question balls and strikes. Well, we do now. And it turns out we should have been doing it for 120 years because umpires don't know what they're doing. So ABS is a thing that we've been talking about this year. But now they've introduced into the AAAs, and it's coming here, a new innovation, and I can't wait to show it to you because I think it's the best of them all. All right. So we've got all that stuff coming up. Adam says Ghost Runner sucks ass. Well, then maybe your team hasn't played about 15 extra inning games this year because mine has. And let me tell you, the Ghost Runner has been awesome. Mikey D on the Maverick situation. He says the Mavs decided to build on the Bellevue Mall site, another business leaving downtown Dallas. Stars next. That is, what are they going to do? Well, that we're going to talk about all of this, Mikey D. I hope you stick around for it, okay? All right, we'll get into all of that. All right, one more time, I want to thank our executive producer of today's show. That is, of course, Leslie C. This is a soft roll into what will be a desperate dash at Pledge Week, but thank you to Leslie C. for helping the show out. If you want to help the show out, be tomorrow's executive producer. All you got to do is be the big tipper of the day and help us out. There you go. Thank you so much. All right, let's get into today's big stories. Iran. I don't know. At this point, I'm just waiting for a cell of Iranian terrorists to blow up Cleveland or something. I don't know what's going on over there. You can find all the information about Iran. It'll be contradictory because I can't find any. That's why I'm out. I'm out on Iran. It's not working. Gas prices are ridiculously high, although credit where credit is due. 95th and Roberts Road right here on the southwest side of Chicago. 95th and Roberts Road, 20 cents down. $4.49 today. I think it was $4.69 or maybe even $4.79 yesterday. Whatever. $4.49 today. Now I expect it to shoot back up because they're saying, well, because the deal is now obviously done and we still don't have any control of the Hormuz, it'll go back up. But whatever, $4.49. $4.49. No, I'm not going to be okay with $4.49 a gallon. I'm not. That's how they get us. They normalize shit. Well, $4.49. Now they can go up to $6. Now the next time something happens, they can go up to $6. We'll be like, please get us back to $4.49. Bitch, it was $2.75 in February. It was $2.75 a gallon in February, and they have normalized gas prices well above $3.50. And that was their plan all along. And now we're just like, that's what gas costs. Just the vice grip, man. They just with the vice grip, one little crank every couple of months. They can take a little more. $4 gas. $4 gas is normalized now. Hey, we invade Cuba yet? I thought that was next. I thought Cuba was on deck. We doing anything with Cuba? All right, I guess not. Ebola. All right, Ebola's still bad. No cases in America. That's good, right? Hantavirus. We're like 4 weeks out on that. I don't know what the incubation period is, but I think we're clear, right? Nobody's talking about hantavirus anymore. New Jersey. Credit to Maddie. She brought New Jersey to our attention yesterday. We talked about the situation at the immigration facility yesterday, and basically my entire complaint was that, this weekend, it seemed that there was a lot going on and there had been a lot of reports in the week leading up to this weekend, but nobody was covering it. So when I'm talking to Maddie, I'm like, this is like a bubble story in your bubble. Not anymore. Yesterday, everybody was covering it yesterday. Maybe they just felt it was not big enough to bring the folks in from the weekend, like Fox didn't want to bring Hannity in off his yacht because he's a working class guy. So they just ignored it. But yesterday, New Jersey was a big story again. We covered it yesterday. All right. Here's a big story that I thought was interesting. This is a good one. So Trump is pulling back his weaponization scam. Remember the weaponization fund? So do we know how this thing started? Are we following along here? So the weaponization fund, which a lot of people on the left were like, this is how he's going to pay January 6ers. And in defense of their, pearl clutching hysteria, he did say that he was going to give money to people that he deemed, or somebody that he's in charge of deemed, to have been the victim of Biden persecution. And he specifically, said of the previous administration, because again, now let's talk about the origin story of this. So where'd this money come from? It's not like he was dipping into an existing, school lunch fund to give them enough. That's not what this was. Trump, if you remember, Trump sued the IRS, sued him for an absurd amount of money in a case that would have absolutely been thrown out of court had he not been elected president of the United States. But, so he gets elected president of the United States, and he's still got this ongoing $10 billion lawsuit with the IRS. And now he's in charge of the people who are going to make the decision whether or not to settle that case. And so, of course, they did. They settled the case for 1.7 or 1. Or whatever. I'm not even sure what the exact amount is. I think it's 1.8. But that's the amount of money, that came from the IRS settlement, because he claims that he was unjustly the victim of IRS leaking of his tax returns. That money is what was going to be used for this, what was called a weaponization fund. So it wasn't like they were taking it away. Well, maybe they were, because I don't know where the IRS gets that money, right? Where does the IRS get $1.8 billion to settle with him? Maybe that's just from their own fund. I don't know. But it was sketchy from the beginning, because, again, the IRS would have never settled with anybody else, okay? This would have run its course through the courts, and it wouldn't have ended in a 1.7. It certainly was never worth $10 billion. It was a frivolous, crazy lawsuit because Donald Trump has 100 lawyers that he keeps on retainer. Trump administration now plans to drop the weaponization fund. Now, this comes after a couple of federal judges deemed that it was not constitutional and not something that should be allowed to happen. Oh, another chick? Did another chick just contact me on Facebook? That's Alexis again. That's Alexis, come on. We're done, girl. I'm gonna close this out. Okay. We can also be done with Sophie Rain stuff. I don't need. She is cute. Sophie Rain is cute. But that's it. Like, if she was my friend's daughter, I'd be like, okay. I don't want to be her dad. But that's it. I wouldn't be like, oh my God, she's Sophia Loren in 1957. She's Audrey Hepburn in Breakfast Nativity. No, she's not. That's just a mid by global standards. It's a hot girl for Ohio. She's a hot Ohio girl. She's a Cleveland 10. All right, sorry. Let's get back to the whole Trump weaponization fund. Let's see. The Trump administration plans to drop its controversial $1.8 billion weaponization fund. The president sought to compensate alleged victims of prosecutorial misconduct under the Biden administration. By the way, I should note this comes from Axios. I want to start doing that now. I want to start citing where I am reading these things from. Bashed as a political slush fund that could be tapped by those convicted in the January 6th Capitol riot, Trump's proposal has drawn bipartisan pushback in the GOP-led House and Senate. Good. Good. I'm glad that, a feckless, well, both parties, really. I was going to say a feckless Republican Party, but really it's a feckless Democrat Party in the House and a bend the knee. I guess that's the only way to describe what the Republicans are. They've bent the knee. So it's nice. So we had pushback. Both sides were like, wait a second. And it makes you wonder, is Trump just like trying to see how much he can get away with? And why wouldn't he? He got the IRS to settle a nonsense $10 billion lawsuit for almost $2 billion. Why wouldn't he just float everything? He said we should have a UFC fight at the White House. And they made it fucking happen. So, yeah, so he floats this, and a bunch of judges are like, no, that's not something that can happen. And he's like, okay, never mind. That's what's going on here. They're just like, never mind. All right. Thought we could get away with that one. All right, hey, you're not, you're, like they say about football teams, you guys get paid too. You guys are working hard too. I get it. Last month, the settlement was reached between Trump and the IRS. The lawsuit was dropped in exchange for a $1.8 billion weaponization fund. Okay, so that was the agreement with the IRS. Trump said, we'll settle, but you're going to give me I'm going to create a weaponization fund. He couldn't have used those words. That's gotta be the journalist using that. He couldn't have said, I want a weaponization fund. Maybe he did. I don't know what he thinks he can and can't get away with. He screwed up the Hormuz situation like legendarily. The Iranians were in check. There was a body of other people that were regulating what was going on in the Strait of Hormuz with Iran. Iran was working with that group, the United Arab Emirates and all that. People who answered to us. That's what it was before. Now it's all Iran. Fudge. I mean, he screwed it up and then went around going, 40 presidents never did this. Yeah, they didn't do it because they knew what would happen. Good Lord. But he wanted to take the victory lap from the stupids on social media going, he's the only one willing to do it. Yeah, because now we're screwed, man. Now it's going to take an all-out war for us to take it over. And is that something that you want? Because you campaigned saying no more wars for oil. And we're not even getting regime change. You're like willing to work with these people. You're like, yeah, well, we're negotiating. What? No, wipe them all out. Put in a puppet government. What is happening? That is now the best case scenario in what has turned out to be a complete cluster F. And we're paying $4.50 a gallon for gasoline. Anyway, the settlement also included broad immunity for Trump and his family. Remember that? Remember we learned about how Trump and his kids, they can't be, oh yeah, also put in there, no matter what, we can't be audited. Like, okay. No matter what, the Trump boys can't be audited ever. What the hell is that, man? What the hell is that? What are you people supporting? Not a lot of you, but what are you people still supporting? No honest man needs immunity from future tax audits. No honest man needs that. Remember when he said nobody innocent takes the fifth? You remember that? And then all his people took the fifth. All right. U.S. District Court judge. It all started because Judge Leonie Brinkema of the Eastern District of Virginia halted the disbursement of money from the fund that had been established. And then on the heels of that, U.S. District Judge Kathleen Williams in the Southern District of Florida announced that she was going to be launching an inquiry into the fund. Now, why is that important now to Judge Williams? Because Judge Williams down there in Florida was the judge that oversaw the negotiated settlement between the IRS and Trump. So she was like, okay, you guys are going to settle this? Okay, I'm the judge in this case. You guys get it done. And now she's seeing what was done and she's like, fuck this. What? So yeah. So because, now there's an inquiry, Trump is like, never mind. We're not going to do it now. So are you just going to keep that 1.8? Is that just going to go into this is the country we're living in. Guess you wouldn't want to maybe take that 1.8, put it into inner city schools or something, maybe lunches. I always throw that one out. Why do poor kids need to eat? Maybe their parents ought to work harder. God, you're a monster. All right, let's go. Let's see. Missing scientists. Yeah, let's bring this story up. We've been covering this for since McCaslin disappeared. When General McCaslin disappeared, prior to the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie, which, by the way, anybody seen her? We are just apes. We were all like, man, we got to find America's grandma. We were all like, and then it was like, we're not going to find her. All right. And then we all just moved on. Actually, what probably happened was what happened for me about a week into it, where I went, she's dead. She's dead, and they know she's dead. They know she's dead. Do you remember like a week into it, the first statement that the family made? And we broke it down on this show, and I was listening to Savannah, and I said, this is somebody who is no longer speaking to her mother. This is somebody who has received news from the kidnappers, and she is speaking directly to them. I pinned it from like the first 7 days that the kidnappers probably said, hey, so we took your mom, but she's dead. And if you want her body, we want, and that's what it was about. It was about reclaiming the body, and then it got all squirrely because if you remember, TMZ got involved, and it just got crazy. And I think the kidnappers got spooked, and they just went into the wind. And she's dead. She's out there somewhere. Savannah has no answers. That's why she went back to work. They have moved on, but it is so strange that. Man, we are just conditioned to expect a series finale. And when we don't get it, we're like, are they going to make another season? They're going to make another season of Nancy Guthrie? She's still out there. They could reboot the character they wanted. Could we get a prequel? Can we see like what Nancy Guthrie's life was like leading up? Anyway, McCaslin went missing, and it should have been a big story. But like 2 weeks later, Nancy Guthrie went missing, and that became the big story. Remember, we talked about it. I'm like, this is weird. This is weird. So we have this General McCaslin, who is in charge of all of the something about nuclear fusion and having to do with like I don't even know what nuclear fusion is. That doesn't exist, right? Isn't that the thing that if we could make nuclear fusion, we could go to the sun or whatever? But he was involved in this like really high level, super top secret spacey stuff. He was in charge of the air base in Ohio. What? Jesus, this is like yesterday where I don't have the answer in my head. The not Area 51, the real one in Ohio. Anyway, McCaslin was in charge of that, the UFO base and all that stuff. And he went missing. Left his wallet, left his keys, went for a hike, went missing. Left his phone, went for a hike. No wallet, no keys, no phone. Went for a hike. A man whose head is filled with probably the most high-level secrets that our government possesses just decided to go for a hike. And this happened 2 weeks before Nancy Guthrie. And then suddenly we didn't care about him. And it was all about Nancy Guthrie. Interestingly enough, they were in the same area too. I think McCaslin went missing in New Mexico, Arizona. I think it was New Mexico. So anyway, once McCaslin went missing and once we stopped looking for Nancy Guthrie, I don't know why. Maybe we all just started watching Good Morning America. I don't know what happened there, but we stopped looking for Nancy Guthrie. It started to become apparent that there was a pattern of missing scientists. So we've been talking about this story for a while. It depends on how directly or indirectly you want to. I've heard anywhere from like 10, which I think is the number of people who you can safely say were attached to disclosure type projects. Okay, 10. But there is like 16, I think, that other people have said. There's like a total of 16, but some of those people were like, well, he was a janitor at Los Alamos. And I'm like, I don't know. Was he in a room? Did he see something he shouldn't have? Is that one? I don't know. But 10 what we know of. One has been found, ladies and gentlemen. One of the stranger ones with direct ties to McCandless has been found. This is, of course, the former Los Alamos facility manager, Maria. Was it Maria Casillas? How do I say her last name? Hold on. Really? You make me do this? We do this every time. Why? Making me sign into the story. No, it's just a moment. Don't worry. It's just a moment. Yeah, I want to skip. We're going to skip. Okay. All right, never mind. Because paywalls, I'm going to have to go to a sketchy news site now because the real journalism, the stuff that I was going to London Times has been covering this very, very deeply. They hide behind a paywall. All right. Let's see. All right, here we go. All right, here we go. BBC. Let's see if the BBC is going to hide behind. BBC. All right, here we go. Sorry. Yeah, it is Cassius. I'm sorry. It's Cassius. Cassias. Melissa Cassius. Missing lab worker found dead in New Mexico nearly a year after disappearing. This comes from the BBC. It says here, human remains found in a New Mexico forest last month were identified as those of lab worker and former lab manager who disappeared nearly a year ago, Melissa Cassius. Let's see here. An administrative assistant at the Los Angeles National Laboratory was reported missing last June. Her case was okay. So this is not the one. This is not the person who ran the lab. This is an administrative assistant at the Los Alamos nuclear facility or laboratory or whatever. It's not nuclear. What? It's probably nuclear. It probably got everything there. They're doing everything there. So she was an executive assistant. And they go, well, that's not any problem. Those people have all the knowledge. Executive assistants are in the rooms when all of the things. So, this is maybe one that I would make directly connected to the weirdness. It says a hiker alerted authorities back on May 28th to the remains found in Carson National Forest. A handgun was also found nearby. Now, it's interesting. They don't say that, it's suicide because it was remains, right? So, handgun. But she also went for a hike and she left her phone, her keys, and her wallet, just like McCaslin did. This is a lot to process. Our hearts are heavy, and we fully intend to continue to pursue answers for justice, her family said in a statement. She was found in an area that was previously searched. Cassius's disappearance featured prominently in online conspiracy theories that have been percolating all year about the deaths and disappearance of at least 10 other people with direct ties to U.S. secret scientific research. Yeah. This BBC, right? This isn't like, this is like they got 100 years of like legacy that they're leaning on. Before her disappearance, Cassius, 53, worked at the Los Alamos Nuclear Laboratory, where she was a leading defensive nuclear researcher. Or was she an executive assistant? Or was she all? I don't know. Let's see. She was reported missing on June 26th of last year after she didn't arrive at work or return home after visiting her daughter, police said. Family later discovered that her personal belongings, including her purse, identification, and cell phones, had been left behind in the home, prompting concerns for her welfare and a missing person investigation. Interest in the missing scientist reached such a fevered pitch that in the United States House of Representatives Oversight Committee and in conjunction with the FBI, announced investigations into the cases. U.S. President Donald Trump also weighed in, calling the disappearances and deaths pretty serious stuff. But again, this House Oversight Committee, this FBI, and this president saying or lending any kind of credence to this does not necessarily help me believe it. It is interesting, though. All right, so we found one body. One body has been found. Again, went for a hike. Well, actually, I know her story. Here's her story. They said that after her daughter, I don't know, visiting her daughter, she dropped her husband off at work. Her husband worked at the Los Alamos laboratory with her. She drove him to work. They drive in together, and she dropped him off, and she said, I left my ID badge at home. I got to go back. And she turned around and went back to the house, and it was the last her husband ever saw her. Now, it says here in the BBC report that she then checked in with her daughter for something. I don't know. I don't even know the age of the daughter. But I do know that she then went home, walked outside. She was seen on Ring doorbell cams walking into a trail area, walking down a street. No purse, no identification, no nothing, just disappeared. That's the same thing that McCaslin did. Also, I believe, in New Mexico. He left his wallet, his keys. I mean, I don't know. Anyway, we found one, Melissa Cassius. She went for a hike and never came back. We found her body. They're saying found near a gun. There was a gun near her body. But because I imagine of the degree of decomposition over the past year of being out there exposed to the elements, although that's the other thing they're saying, they've swept this area numerous times and never found her body before, but now they found it. And it's decomposing and there's a gun there. Okay, I guess she went out there and killed herself. I don't know. It's just weird. It's a lot of weird stuff with these stories. All right, let's move on to my featured story of the day. This is one that I this is look. Yeah, It's I like it because it's kind of well, I like it because it is honestly what I believe. I have some very strong beliefs here. I've known super rich guys, and I just sorry, I just so here's the story. Concerns our first lady Melania Trump and how she and Donald Trump actually met. The key witness in all of this is a woman named is it hold on excuse me Amanda. That's right, Amanda Ungaro. Let's get a look at her. Let's get a look at Amanda Ungaro. Yeah, I want you to see her because we're going to listen to her. All right, here we go. All right, here he is. Here, yeah, this is her with her pimp husband. We'll get into him in a minute. Sorry, I gotta make that big. Let me pull up his page. Come on, Paulo. I'm trying to find information on this guy so that I can share it with you. All right. All right, that'll be fine. That's fine. All right, there you go. All right, so this is Amanda Ungaro. Amanda Ungaro, she is a Brazilian, I think, Brazilian supermodel. They make good supermodels down there. Eastern Europe and Brazil, I understand that those are the California girl is falling on, hard time. Not really interested in the Christy Brinkley type anymore. It's got to be like some giant 7-foot Brazilian. And that's who this woman is, Amanda Ungaro. She was she was a very successful model. She was, by modeling standards, far more successful as a model than Melania Knaus, as she was known at the time. But she became very close friends with Melania Knaus over, the years, simply because of, the men they were dating. Right. That's the connection. That's how a lot of women come to know each other. They dating powerful men and they go out and they meet each other. And so that's pretty much the relationship. They were both models on the arms of seemingly powerful men, although Melania wasn't. And that's what this is about. Melania was just kind of a new model who was over there. And Melania was modeling in Italy or Paris. It doesn't matter. It's one of those places. Melania was modeling over there. And this guy you see here on the right, his name is Paolo Zampoli. Maybe I'm not saying that right. He is the heir to an Italian toy factory. That's right. This guy's like Willy Wonka's kid. This is what happens. This guy's dad owned one of like the most popular toy manufacturers, like the Mattel of Europe is basically who this guy is. So anyway, he inherited all that money and he decided to run the toy company for a while, and he ran it into the ground, and then he decided to sell it, and he sold it, and he took all the money, and he was like a 24-year-old super rich kid. This is like back in the late 80s or whatever. So he took all the money from his toy company that he sold after his dad died, and he decided he's going to turn himself into a global model agent. So he just took the toy money, started a well-funded modeling agency, and he began acquiring high-profile, powerful male friends. He very good friends with Jeffrey Epstein. That's right. This guy, Paulo, he and Jeff, they were real good. We know who Jeff was friends with, Donald Trump. That's right. That's right. So it's not too crazy to believe that, Paulo, who, by the way, is a very big MAGA supporter, and I believe he's got a job inside the administration. This guy on the right here, who is married to Amanda Ungaro, the girl on the left who we're talking about, former friend of Melania. All right. So, Paulo is now doing something with the Trump administration. Anyway. So Paulo was basically, you understand why he was friends with Jeffrey Epstein and why he had all these super powerful male friends in New York and LA and all the cool spots around the world. He had that because he was the pimp. He was the guy who owned the modeling agency where all of these up-and-coming models, and by the way, that's who they preyed upon, up-and-coming supermodels. They didn't want Naomi Campbell. She was too much of a handful. They needed a model who was just on the precipice of becoming famous and being able to have a career that they could dangle their influence in front of them. And that's what this guy, Paulo, was. He was a high-end pimp to incredibly wealthy and influential men. He introduced wealthy and influential men to hot models who were looking to make it. While he was in Italy, he ran into this young model named Melania Knaus. And he said, "You're a star. I'm going to bring you to New York and introduce you to my social circle." Jeffrey Epstein. That's who this guy's social circle was. None of this is denied. This is how Melania came to America. He was in Italy as a model scout. He found Melania, brought her to New York, gave her an apartment, introduced her to the likes of Jeffrey Epstein and that whole round of dudes. She ended up hooking up with Donald Trump, and here we are. And the only thing that is denied in that whole bit is that Jeffrey Epstein was there the whole time, and that the connective tissue between Donald Trump meeting Melania was Jeffrey Epstein's pimp. This guy, the toy king of the Northern Alps. I don't know. Alps? Are the Alps in Italy? I think they are. Anyway. All right. So now let's get to her, Amanda Ungaro. She was a fairly successful model in the 90s. She was his top girl at his modeling agency. Now, remember, if she's the top girl, she would be the one that was in New York when Paulo brought Melania, the young, bright-eyed Eastern European girl in the big city for the first time. It would have been like, "Oh, Melania, welcome. I'll help you out," right? So their relationship was sort of built on that. They lived together for a period of time in the same apartment building that this dude, Paulo, had the penthouse in. So he had the penthouse in this Soho apartment, and then he had all of these apartments under there just stocked with smoke show 410s that he could bring to parties. Now, why was he? First of all, that's how you get invited to the parties. You invite Paulo because Paulo's going to show up with 10 19-year-old, supermodels. Anyway, so that's the whole world. That is a very real world that exists that people don't want to sort of acknowledge it. I'm sorry, but that is a very real world that exists. Do you think people like Donald Trump, those people, imagine, and Eric Trump, Don Jr., these young guys, do you think they go to bars and hit on girls? Do you think that's how they meet women? Or do you think powerful friends of theirs at balls and at charity events introduce them to some highly paid Eastern European fashion model, and that's how they end up fighting? That's how it works, guys. That's how it works. Now, where do all these girls come from, and how do they get off a bus from Yugoslavia and find themselves in a fucking apartment in Soho? It's because of people like this man right here. This man's entire business model is introducing hot chicks like Amanda Ungaro and Melania Knaus to powerful New York influencers like Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump. Why are the women willing to do it? Because trophy wives, man. What are you talking about? Have you ever been to a hotel where an NBA team is staying? Look at the lobby. Look at the women. Women, for a chance at the guarantee of a better life, are happily going to marry some dude they just fucking don't want to bang. Do you think Melania Trump is in love with Donald Trump? Do you think that 29-year-old Melania Trump looked at 60-year-old Donald Trump and was like, "Yes, please"? She was a smoke show. No. She married him for money. She married him for clout. And you know what? Melania is the first lady of the United States 2 times over. So laugh at her all you want, question her. Seems to have worked if the goal was to be the most notable woman in the world. I didn't say popular because she's not popular. She is notable. So anyway, this Amanda Ungaro, she and Paulo broke up a few years ago. This is Paulo. This is in better times, I think, during the first Trump administration. Anyway, they broke up a few years ago, and they have a kid together. And there's a big custody war going on, as is always the case when you have these emotional infants who live at the very top of elite society. There is no emotional control, and you will never see our child again, right? There's that whole thing. Very ugly. Working class people tend to do this better than really wealthy people because working class people don't want to pay fucking lawyers because they can't get over their emotional fucking immaturity. No, she doesn't get them every other Saturday. Anyway, these people had a particularly nasty custody battle. He's a very rich guy. He probably really turned the screws to her. And he went to his buddies at the Trump administration and accused her of things and used that to get her deported. Because remember, she's Brazilian. She's not supposed to be here. So he doesn't have to have a custody fight with his supermodel, Brazilian baby mama. Because, his buddy Trump just kicked her out of the country. Good to know, people. All right, so that's her situation. We need to know her situation. She's definitely pissed, and now she's talking. She's apparently written a book. She's given interviews, and yesterday, I guess, she went on a podcast and she told the story. So let's listen. Let's listen to Amanda Ungaro on this podcast. Now, I want you to look at her because you're going to hear her voice, and it's going to be disturbing. You're going to be like, what? I don't know. She's beautiful, though. I mean, she really is a beautiful woman. Hold up. Well, let me see if we can find this. Sorry, guys. I got way too many windows open. All right, here we go. Yeah, this is Amanda Ungaro speaks on how Donald Trump and Melania actually met. All right, here we go. Oh, we got a nice picture of them too. Good. Okay. That's nice.
Was the one let's tell the public you never was the one introduced Melania to Trump.
Stop. Okay. That's her voice. Look at her. That's her on the right. She's hotter than Melania. She is hotter than Melania, but she sounds like that. Oh my God.
Tell the public you never was the one introduced Melania to Trump. It was Jeffrey Epstein. She was a escort of Jeffrey Epstein. That's how she met Donald Trump. Okay?
All right, so she was a escort of Jeffrey Epstein. She was a escort. Pretty sure she's trying to say escort of Jeffrey Epstein. Now remember, this is a girl that was there. This is the girl that was there who was also kicked out of the country by Trump. So and had her child taken away from her by Trump. So you can say she's got an axe to grind, but you can also say she has no more fucks to give. I don't know. Here we go. Let's listen to more of this.
You never was the one introduced Melania to Trump. It was Jeffrey Epstein. She was a escort of Jeffrey Epstein. That's how she met Donald Trump. Okay? You are like a fucking piece of shit that supposedly asking a favor to be in the power with the titles, and then Melania cover you and you cover Melania. Let's be honestly, nobody's a fucking stupid here. And I know because I was with you 20 years and you always told me it was not you, was Jeffrey Epstein.
All right, now I'm not sure. First, the voice is very distracting. Seriously, did you see that woman? How can she look like that and then sound like that? Like, is that like I don't know, man. Just be quiet, baby. Don't say a word. Just stay quiet. Oh my God. Anyway, she told the story there. She said, it's bullshit. She was introduced to Donald Trump through Jeffrey Epstein. She was one of the escorts that Jeffrey Epstein acquired from Paolo, the father of her child who, took the child and then got her kicked out. So she's got an axe to grind. However, all right, so I stated before we got into this whole thing, I said, well, this is just something that I believe. This is absolutely. Now, let's talk about what I believe. Is Melania the type of escort that a businessman staying in New York could call a number and she'll come over to his hotel room and for $2,000 bang him? I don't know that that is necessary, but there is a whole different kind of escort. These super model adjacent wannabe girls who, instead of having that route of, a businessman traveling in New York calls a number and the escort comes by, and not that route. It's more of the Jeffrey Epstein pays them to attend these lavish parties, and the potential there is that they will then hook up with a powerful man. They will then report whatever they learn about the powerful man or whatever he's doing or what he really thinks of me right back to Jeffrey Epstein. That's not being denied either. People have been talking about that as how Jeffrey Epstein had so much power and control over all of these people. It wasn't just about child molestation or the ones who are pedophiles. It was also about all the information that Jeffrey Epstein had because of these women that he put out there into these groups that would then report back to him. He was like fucking Varys from Game of Thrones. If you're familiar with Game of Thrones, that's who Jeffrey Epstein was. That's why he was so powerful. That's why these people invested so much money with him, because he knew things about everybody. And how did Jeffrey Epstein get into these circles and get these information? By beautiful women. That's always the way in. Just show up with, there isn't a club in the world that if you show up with 10 supermodels, you're going to have to wait in line. That's not how it works. So, yes, I believe that that's how Melania came over to America, as a part of that whole system, where she would be introduced to a very wealthy man and she'd marry him. And, anyway, that's, yes. And so is that the same thing as a prostitute? Kind of. Yeah, it is kind of. It's just a whole different. What is your problem with prostitution? It should only be the moral consequences of doing that. We talked about that earlier with the OnlyFans. The morality of selling yourself sexually, the intimacy of you selling that or making that available simply for riches and gold, that is the moral compromise that I'm talking about that we make. And I don't know, I've been programmed to think that we're not supposed to do that and girls aren't supposed to do that, but maybe I'm wrong, because Gen Z, but she ain't Gen Z. She's Gen X. She knows better. She knows what she was doing. Anyway, there you have it. Amanda Ungaro. Super hot, but crazy Marge shot voice. It's crazy. It's this voice, but it's also like the sort of, there was kind of some Russian girl, I thought, in there. This is what's a Brazilian accent sound like? Scott. She was one of Jeffrey Epstein's Scott. I don't know. Whatever. All right, we've got that one. All right, here's what I want to do. I want to take a quick break. I want to get myself a hot cup of coffee. We're going to come back. We'll talk about the Mavericks moving to Valley View. We'll go through some videos. We've got a bunch of other things that are fun that I'll throw at you. One more time, I do want to all take a moment and thank our executive producer of today's show. It is Leslie C. Thank you so much, Leslie. If you want to be tomorrow's executive producer, all you got to do is drop a little something there in the Cash App or the Venmo. This show, nonpartisan, non-political, just regular common sense people getting together every day at noon. This show exists because you folks tip, because I'm a bartender and you folks tip. The drinks are free. Just tip. We'll take a quick break. I'll come back after this, a hot cup of coffee, a quick run to the bathroom, and we'll do all the things I told you about before. Which was what? What did I just tease? The stadium issues. That's right. So we'll get into that and we'll watch some videos. We'll have some fun. There's a lot of fun stuff. We got a lot of fun stuff coming, I promise. All right, we're back. We are back. Welcome one and all to part 2 of today's show. Okay. Chat room. Let's see. Yeah, we're listening to Amanda Ungaro. Kevin says, "Oh my God, that voice! It's like looking at a beautiful sunset with a tornado siren going off. Hard to focus. God, she's so beautiful. Like she's so like she's perfect. She's like 6 foot tall, really long, smoking body, Brazilian bikini body, just gorgeous face, just And then she talks like this, and then she." Yeah, no, that's crazy. There's a porn star that some comedian has a bit about, and it is so funny. There is a porn star. I think I've talked about her before. I don't know what her name is. Hold on. We got to listen. This is. Who is the porn star with a really funny voice? Sounds like she's on helium. Okay, hold on. Let's see. It's thinking about it. No, what, man? Honestly, I don't think you guys. I'm not talking about Kristen Shaw. I said porn star. It's not giving me anything that I recognize. And is it that one? Hold on, let's try this. Okay, I think it might be this one. All right, let's see if she's got a YouTube video that we can show. You got to hear this. We're talking about Amanda Ungaro, the former friend of Melania Trump, who says that Melania was a high-priced escort in Jeffrey Epstein's, thing of women that was fueled. The women were fueled by Amanda Ungaro's former husband / boyfriend, baby daddy, or whatever. All right, what was her name? Okay. Let's see here. All right, never mind. I don't know. I don't know how to find it, and I don't want to play porn on my channel, but apparently there is a porn star by the name of Lucy Dahl, and she has a crazy funny speech. Oh, is this it? Hold on. Hold on. I might have something that shows her voice or not.
Who has captured the hearts of many with her beauty and charisma. Born on February 20th, 19. Natural heritage, Lucy won for her was but passion for family.
Is she gonna speak?
And her authenticity made her a beloved figure in the modeling world.
No.
Despite her success,
anyway,
Lucy
this is her.
Has remained grounded and committed to her roots. She often speaks about her family's influence.
This is the chick that AI says has the voice. Anyway, there's a porn star. I don't remember if that's her name, but you have access to any porn sites. You got to listen. Her voice is hysterical. All right. That bit went nowhere because I don't want to show porn on my channel. All right. Thank you, Kevin. Let's talk about the stadium stuff. Let's talk about the big news that was revealed in North Texas yesterday as it concerns the Dallas Mavericks, and the big news as it was revealed here in Chicago as it concerns the Chicago Bears. Now, first, in Dallas, the Dallas Mavericks and the Dallas Stars have shared occupancy of the AAC, the American Airlines Center, forever. I mean, from the inception. This is what I understand that it's a lease disagreement, and the Mavericks have new ownership now, and they want to be able to control, I guess, everything. I thought they were moving out towards Irving. The Edelmans, I thought, had acquired a whole bunch of land out there in Irving, but I imagine the Edelmans acquire land everywhere. So, but no, it's not going out west into the Metroplex. The Mavericks are leaving the American Airlines Center in downtown Victory Square, if you will. They're leaving downtown Dallas, and they are moving. They're staying in the city of Dallas, and they are taking over the Valley View Mall spot. Which, I think this is great. I think it's great that the team actually stays in the city. I applaud that. anytime a team is named for a specific city, none of them play in the cities they're named for. They've been priced out of their cities, not because they can't afford it, because ownership is just so freaking greedy. So it's nice that they were able to make out a deal, and they're going to reclaim that area there in North Texas. Here, I know we all know where it is, but for anybody who might be watching who doesn't know where this new area is as it compares to where the Mavericks had been playing in downtown, let me show you this. All right, so this is the Valley View spot. We'll pull out a little, okay? All right, here we go. All right, so we're going to pull out a little. All right, so this is Dallas. This is Dallas proper, right? Downtown Dallas and all of that. The former stadium was down here in Victory Plaza, an area that was depressed before they built the stadium there. And if you remember, they promised that they were going to pump all kinds of money into that area, and that between, the Hickses and the Cubans and all of these people, they were going to develop that stretch of land going all the way over to the Trinity River and beyond, right? That was the promise. That never really came to be, other than small spurts down there in Victory Plaza. I think Victory Plaza is absolutely beautiful. They spared no expense. They made it one of the coolest little entertainment/stadium districts in the entire country. I mean, I've been to a number of them. They've also done an amazing job in Arlington, but they did a really nice job with Victory Plaza. The problem is, where's Victory Plaza? I'm on the wrong side of town. There we are. Okay. So the problem, here it is. This is Victory Plaza. This area, right? Well, here, guess we'll just go on the ground. All right, here we are. This area right here, this redevelopment of downtown Dallas over the course of the last 25 years or so. Amazing. Look at this. You got the W, you got all kinds of super expensive condos and new sources of, community economic development going on over here. Beautiful high-end shops. Oh, fancy and absolute failure. An absolute failure. They bombed it. They sunk all kinds of money into this redevelopment project, and then they made it only for the elites. That's what happened. Well, why aren't people stopping at the saloon across the street after a game? Because people are getting the fuck out of there because you're charging $10 for a beer. That's why. Don't act like we gave up on downtown Dallas. No, you overestimated how much we are willing to pay for an experience in a downtown area. They screwed this up. You don't see this. Well, you don't see it in Arlington. You don't see every place, every option for you when you walk out of a Ranger game isn't the highest end experience. Every single option doesn't offer you valet parking, private VIP access, like they did here in Dallas. This is garbage. I hate it from the beginning. I remember the first time I went to the Ghost Bar right there. I'm like, this place sucks. These people suck. Is this honestly who they think they're going to draw 150,000 people to this area and revitalize it? With who? Where are these rich fuckers coming from? Because most of the people who go to Mavericks and Stars games are regular folks from Richardson, Plano, Garland, and you gave them nothing to experience after the game. Nothing that wouldn't leave them $500 later in the pocket. Shame on you. Dallas did this. So now let's look at where they're building. I don't have any tears for the failure of the downtown Dallas redevelopment. Again, they did it to themselves. They didn't do it properly. So now let's move to the Valley View site. This is where the Mavs are going to be moving. And by the way, I don't know, maybe you guys boots on the ground. Maybe you guys know this better than I do. The Stars are staying. I understand that are the Stars staying? Actually, I don't understand that the Stars are staying. I was just going to say, I understand there's a lease, but now that's not, I'm wrong. I know that there's a lease on Soldier Field. I'm confusing my information here. God, I got a lot of stadium shit in my head. But what do you do with that building? You just abandon that whole area? Have the rich guys just written it off on their taxes, and now there's going to be just this everything is so. Are you moving the Dirk statue? That's what I'd like to know. Does the Dirk statue get moved up to Valley View, which I hope it does? because that's the shit that the working man likes. That's the shit. They can't go to the fancy saloon across the street and drop $300 on post-game drinks and hors d'oeuvres, but they can get the kids together and take a picture in front of the Dirk statue. So you better be moving that shit. That's fan-friendly stuff. Unlike everything you built in Victory Plaza. All right, so let's move up now. Here we go. 635, Richardson, Garland, Galleria. Okay. I don't know why I'm so here is the new site, right? Right here. Look at this. Valley View Mall. Right here. I mean, my God. Of course they got a deal done with Dallas. This is like one of the most gorgeous potential sites for a stadium or a serious, community event center that you could possibly have. Right there, 635 in Preston, just between 75 and the tollway. 35 is only a couple of miles further west. This is an incredible location. And why is this great for the city of Dallas? Because this is where normal people live. Normal. This is where you can actually grow a community that bursts up around the actual stadium where people might stay. This is why Wrigley works. Wrigley Field. This is why Arlington looks like it's working. Arlington has made community-friendly and economically reasonable options for people when they come out to these things. They didn't do that again at Victory Plaza. They made it only the fanciest for the fanciest. And nobody stayed, and that's why we got tumbleweeds blowing around down there. Have you seen the rents that they are cheap? Well, that's good. The rents are going to drop. There are going to be some really cool apartments, dirt fucking cheap now. Oh, who are we kidding? Developers are going to walk away from those buildings and they're just going to remain empty. They can make more money taking the yearly loss on those empty structures than lowering rates and letting normal people live in a cool place. That's not going to happen. They'll just close before they allow us to pay, $1,500 a month for a 1-bedroom on the 30th floor. That'll never happen. Anyway, Valley View, I love it. I love the idea of reclaiming this whole neighborhood here in North Dallas because the peripheral of this neighborhood is wonderful. There's a whole lot of sketch happening right here. What we're looking at in this area, there is a whole lot of sketch. And the sketch is there because the mall for the previous decade before it finally closed was pretty damn sketchy, right? So we've got a, what do we call it? Unhoused problem. We've got look, I'm not going to say it's not like, it's not over by Fair Park. Let's not get crazy. But as far as Dallas goes, you lock the car. Okay. You lock the car and you worry about leaving it on the street in this area, in its present state. They're going to throw a stadium in here. The redevelopment around the stadium. We're talking about bars and restaurants. If they do it properly, if they do it in step with the already existing super successful entertainment district that Beltline is, this will be a great thing for everybody in Dallas. It's going to reclaim a neighborhood. The property values in these neighborhoods, the adjoining neighborhoods are going to go up because they don't have a gigantic divot in the ground that used to be a mall. They're staying in Dallas. They're moving. I said they're moving central, which makes me a bit of a hypocrite because of my entire argument about the Bears Stadium. They're not staying central. Downtown Dallas is central. They're moving closer to where the middle class and, upper middle class of the Friscos and the Planos and, the nicer suburbs that are, springing up there. They're moving closer for those people, which is smart. They're making it harder for the poor people in South Dallas. They're making it, they've moved it away from, a central location where people from all around the Metroplex can all have an equal difficult travel. And they are making it easier for people North Dallas. But they aren't making it easier for the super rich. They ain't doing that. They seem to be trying to fix a neighborhood that has so much potential and is a really nice neighborhood, other than the fact that they've had for the last 10 years this giant divot in the ground where the mall used to be. All right, the Mavs are moving there. I think that's great. In the city, they got the deal done with the city. Now, I don't want to talk about private funds and all that kind of stuff. That's not the issue here with the Texas Stadium, but that is the issue with what is happening here in Chicago with the new Chicago Bears Stadium. So let me get you caught up to speed on what that's all about, because you may not be as familiar with it as I am. So the Chicago Bears, who play on the lakefront in an absolutely gorgeous stadium that is the oldest stadium in the NFL. It's not a rickety old fallen down piece of garbage. They rebuilt it back in 2005. And, you know, a lot of us in Chicago, we think it looks like a UFO landed on the Parthenon. It does. It looks like they just dropped a UFO on top of, you know, what previously was the really cool Roman or Greek styled Soldier Field with the columns and all that. But whatever. It's, you know, it's a fine stadium. The location is, I don't know, haven't been to all the stadiums in football, but I would have to say that it's in the top 5 conversation of the greatest locations in the NFL. Picturesque, big city background with the giant buildings and the lake and the boats and the parks. You see the blimp shot of Soldier Field on game day, and all you see for miles and miles around are parks and trees and art sculptures and paths and bike paths and boats and marinas. It's gorgeous. And there's no reason that they need to leave Soldier Field other than that they claim they want a dome and they want to own their building. And they don't own the building at Soldier Field. That's owned by the city of Chicago. So, previously, there was a mayor in Chicago by the name of Lori Lightfoot who took a very hardline stance against any Chicago Bears plans of building a new stadium in Chicago. So under that Chicago mayoral administration, the Bears conversation ended. There was none. And the Bears said, fine, we're going to go buy some land in the far north suburbs. We're going to take over what used to be a big horse racing track, Arlington Park, home of the Arlington Million. We're going to take over that. We bought it. Hallis family, Chicago Bears, we bought that land. We're going to build our stadium there. And that was under Lori Lightfoot. Now, since then, a new mayor has come in, Brandon Johnson, and he's like, I'm going to save the city. You know, he's doing that whole thing. He has absolutely no leg to stand on, but he wants to be seen as the mayor who tried to right the wrong of the previous administration, because everybody is very comfortable blaming Lori Lightfoot for the situation where the Bears seem to be moving out of the city of Chicago to Arlington Heights, Illinois. So the Bears now own the land. They're moving. They're going to build in Arlington. And the state of Illinois is like, okay, what can we do to help you? And the Bears said, you can do this, this, and this. And the state of Illinois said, we're not going to do that, that, or that. We're not going to. The state of Illinois stood up to the NFL and said, build it yourself. Your team is worth $8.7 billion. What are you saying? So that conversation ended very quickly, and it evolved into a conversation about tax certainty. So the Chicago Bears, when they build their stadium in Arlington, they want the state of Illinois to guarantee them what they will be taxed over the course of the next few years. So they want basically their taxes frozen so that these billionaires can build these things. Taxes that, you know, could have gone into the state, and been squandered by corrupt politicians, but whatever. We can't stop collecting money. What we need to do is stop letting corrupt politicians steal the money that's collected. So the state was not in the business of, you know, giving any tax breaks to billionaire companies. So the Bears reacted by going, fine, we own this land. We'll just put up condos. We don't give a shit. The Chicago Bears have other choices. And that's when every other city and suburb in Chicago started going, we want it, we want it, we want it. But only one stepped up hardcore, and that is Hammond, Indiana, or the state of Indiana. The state of Indiana poked their nose into Illinois business. They looked at the reluctance on the part of the Illinois government to give any kind of breaks to any kind of billionaire business. And Indiana said, we'll do the whole thing. What do you want? What do you want? So the state of Indiana came to the Chicago Bears and said, look, what do you want? And the Bears gave a whole wish list of shit that they want. And the state of Indiana went down to their state legislator and they said, let's give the billionaires all the money they want. And the state of Indiana went, yeah. So the state of Indiana is willing to build everything. And me, a citizen of Illinois who roots for the Chicago Bears, I don't have to pay a fucking dime. Are you kidding me? And my government isn't establishing a practice of giving these kinds of breaks to billionaire. Fine. Now came the complaint among people that, but they can't play in Illinois because they're the Chicago Bears, which drove me absolutely nuts. Because we're talking about literally when you get off the expressway to pull into the parking lot, the police that will be directing traffic on the east or west side of State Line Road will be Chicago police officers. You will see Chicago police officers as you're going to games, but somehow it's across the street. It's technically in Indiana. It's technically adjacent to the southeast side of Chicago, an area that has been completely ignored for 70 years. 50 years. 50 years. Since the steel mills closed. That was the area of Chicago where all the industrial, blue-collar, hard-working class people lived. They worked the steel mills there on the southeast side of Chicago and Gary, Indiana. Now, again, understand, it's not like Game of Thrones and it's the giant wall of the North. It is a street, not even a highway. It is a street called State Line Road. And you wouldn't even know you've crossed over into a new street. You would think you're still on the southeast side of Chicago, but no, now you're in Indiana. But that is apparently a deal. Do they have to be called the Hammond Bears? Are you fucking insane? Do you call the New York Jets the New Jersey Jets? Do you call the New York Giants the New Jersey Giants? All right, so Indiana is willing to pay for everything. It is far more convenient for me as a resident of the South Side to have them build this incredibly cool stadium on reclaimed land on the lakefront. We will still have the lake. We will still have the marinas. We will still have everything. But the Bears really want to go to that suburb where they've got land in the middle of an expressway overpass. It's just like every other lame suburban stadium. The obvious better choice is Indiana, but they don't want Indiana because that's a different state. Holy shit. I've spent half my life in northwestern Indiana. That is just, again, it's an arbitrary line. So where are we? The NFL told the Chicago Bears, enough of this bullshit. You get this deal done by June 1st. All right, that's the deadline. We're putting a deadline here on you and your stupid stadium dance. It's June 1st. Make a decision. So the Illinois legislature, the people who don't want the Bears to leave and cross to Indiana, they held emergency sessions and they tried to get a deal done over the weekend, and the deal failed. Do you know why the deal failed? Because last week, remember I told you about the mayor of Chicago? Remember I told you how the previous mayor, Lori Lightfoot, was the one who kind of screwed this deal, taking Chicago out of the conversation? And then I told you that the new mayor, Brandon Johnson, came in and he's kind of fancying himself as a bit of the savior of the situation. Well, last week, Brandon Johnson and the Chicago Bears rekindled conversations. So again, understanding the timeline, we've got like 72 hours for the state of Illinois to pass a deal that will allow the Bears to build in Arlington. They've got 72 hours to do it, the state of Illinois. Indiana is sitting there with a big old bag of money in a badass location going, it's all free. It's all free. We don't care about our people. Our people in Indiana, fuck them. It doesn't matter. We're going to use they don't get school lunches anyway. We're just going to take all of that money and we're going to build you this giant billionaire Xanadu on the lake. So that's what Indiana's doing. The Illinois in Chicago last week rekindled talk. And Brandon Johnson, city of Chicago, says, we're not out of it yet. So now Chicago's back in it. Don't know how they're back in it, but Chicago claims to be back in it. Anyway, because of that announcement last week that there was a meeting between the Chicago Bears and the city of Chicago, rekindling talks about a potential new stadium in the city of Chicago, the 12 downstate delegates from the city of Chicago refused to support the bill that would have passed legislation allowing the Bears to build in the suburbs. It was because of that meeting. It is like the height of political trickery. I don't know. The Bears and the city of Chicago, what they got into cahoots to tank this at the last minute? I don't understand why the Bears would be party to this. I completely understand why Brandon Johnson would make it public that we're talking to the Bears again. I understand that. He's trying to keep Chicago alive as an option. And I understand why the 12 delegates who represent the city of Chicago isn't going to vote and support a measure that will ensure the Bears leave Chicago. We understand that, right? So that's what happened. The whole thing tanked. The state of Illinois said, we can't fund you in Arlington. And now the only person left standing is Hammond, Indiana. And the Chicago Bears are still like, we don't know. We don't know. Hammond, Indiana is the place. It's a big, big mess. It is nothing like what seems to have gone off without a hitch there in Dallas with the Mavericks, leaving the AAC and choosing the Valley View site, which is such an incredibly cool site, man. I know, like, look, if you don't have vision, if you can't see it, then you don't see it. What you see is a mall that has been closed for 10 years. That's what you see, not me. I see an incredible rebirth of a neighborhood there in North Dallas where you're still going to have to lock your car doors, but man, I think it's going to be great for Dallas. Not so great for the people who live in the south of Dallas because, you know, again, poor people. It's Texas. Poor people are always going to be overlooked in Texas. Anything that, you know, they can do. Like, this is just incrementally better than what they did down there at the American Airlines Center, where they built this incredible entertainment district and then priced the working man out of it. Lost connection. Sorry, did we lose the connection? Mikey says the Stars are considering the old Willow Bend Ball site. So, okay, the old Willow Bend Mall site. It's another great site. That's real far up. That's going to be specifically for the people of Frisco and McKinney and, you know, anywhere and that are. So, okay, that's where the growth is. You know, back in the olden times when our sports leagues were formed, the growth was concentrated in downtown areas. So that's where the stadiums were. Exurbia is a thing, not just suburbia, but exurbia. And so, yeah, the Willow Bend Mall. So what will they do with the American Airlines Center? That building is 20 years old. They do this, and man, you guys did this. You tore down the old Ranger ballpark, which was all. No, you didn't even tear it down, right? You still, like, we got what? Like USFL football playing there or something? I don't know. Under 18 soccer goes on there at the old Ranger ballpark, which was a palace. That was such a beautiful place. Terrible place to see a game in August. Horrible, horrible. Love Globe Life. Love what they've done with the new stadium. That said, there was no reason to build a new stadium. You know, not with tax dollars anyway. I don't think any tax dollars went into any of that, which is why, you know, not a big deal. But stadiums used to be around for 100 years. You realize that Soldier Field, where the Bears currently play, is over 100 years old. You realize that Wrigley Field, where the Cubs play, is 100 years old. Fenway is 100 years old. Stadiums used to go 50, 60, 70 years before they would think about tearing them down. Now we tear them down every 20 years. Every 20 years, we put up another $1 billion stadium. And honestly, I don't have a problem with it as long as the rich guys are paying for it, as long as look, now I agree. I believe that the state and the local government, there was a partnership here, you know, and I believe that they should be and willing to provide infrastructure, expansion of roads, highway off-ramps to get to the stadium and all that kind of stuff, drainage, you know, all of that infrastructure that you need to make something thrive in a community. But as far as like tax certainty or any kind of like breaks because you've chosen to come here, that is just coddling business. That is just that is bullshit. That is what we need to get away from. The job creators. That was 30 years ago you were using the job creator line. We've learned that they aren't creating any jobs other than for yacht salesmen. Yacht salesmen, that's a good gig if you get into that line of work, selling yachts because people are buying yachts. Al says he loves the previous Texas Ranger. It was a beautiful park. That was really a beautiful park. I remember the first time I saw it because I consider myself a bit of a baseball snob. I mean, I was raised on Comiskey, which I think is just like the old Grand Plaza. It's a palace. It's still kills me that they tore down Comiskey. They could have painted it. That's all. Just paint it. Slap it. No more upper deck roof shots. Oh my God, the old Comiskey was crazy. I loved it. And so when I first moved to Dallas, one of the first places I went to was a Ranger game. And I remember going, here's what they did. They took the grandeur of like Comiskey and Fenway and Yankee Stadium. They took all of that, all the accoutrements, and they made it modern inside. From the outside, that building, Choctaw, is that what it is? Adam says it's Choctaw. From the outside, that is still one of those beautiful stadiums. It's timeless. It's classic. It was designed specifically in a classic style to never look like, you remember the stadiums of the 70s that are no longer here, like where teams like the Reds and Pirates would play at? Those were garbage stadiums. Those look like something out of like a George Lucas movie from 1972. This is what stadiums will look like in the future. And they just had, they were terrible. I went to Three Rivers Stadium once in Cincinnati when I was in my 20s. And it was the old, not the old, Three Rivers was built in like 70, maybe the 60s, whatever. But it was supposed to be super futuristic. That place sucked. Oh my God. It was just endless ramps. That's all I remember. Just endless white catwalks and ramps. Everything was terrible. How about an escalator? Adam says they do concerts at Choctaw Stadium now. And yes, it's beautiful. And yes, Arlington approved money for the Rangers and Cowboys for their stadiums. Tax money? I didn't know the tax. Infrastructure. I'm guessing it was infrastructure because there wasn't really much hubbub. I remember when these stadium deals were going through. It's not like the same thing as when Jerry Reinsdorf of the White Sox holds the state of Illinois hostage because he's going to move the team to Florida if they don't build them a new stadium. That's the deal that we got. Back in the day, I think it has shifted ownership's sort of attitude towards this, because back in the day, and I just gave you the example of how the guaranteed rate field where the White Sox currently play, that was built by the owner of the team going to the state and saying, Florida is going to build us a stadium and we're going to move to Florida if you don't build us a stadium. The mentality back then for owners was, let them incur all the costs of the state. Let them handle all the problems. Let them carry the crazy insurance. That was the attitude of sports owners. Until they started to realize that if we own the building, we can pack it the rest of the year with concerts and events and other sports. So now the attitude among the billionaire class is that they want to own it. And for a number of years, they tried to have the title of owning the building, but also having it paid for by the state by holding them hostage. We have seen examples over the last few years of communities, states, legislatures saying no. Kansas City Chiefs, great example. I said no. So get the fuck out of here. So what did they do? They moved across the street. They're still the Kansas City Chiefs. They're just no longer playing Kansas City, Missouri. They now play in Kansas City, Kansas, which is the same. San Diego Chargers were told we're not going to do it. So San Diego Chargers like, fine, we're going to go to LA. We're going to move. We're going to leave. It's different. It is a completely different point of view from ownership. Ownership now knows that if they own the building, they can make money hand over fist on things other than the sport that they're building the building for. All right. Adam seems to know more about this than I do. He says, nope, 1.5 billion combined, I believe. 1.5 billion combined for what? For the entire Arlington area. Because that is what would be expected. I would expect for what they have built in Arlington, in that area where you have your Six Flags and you have your Choctaw and you have your Globe Life and you got the Cowboy Stadium, what they have, Texas Live, what they have built there, the city of Arlington should have been happy to go 1.5 billion. 1.5 billion in infrastructure for an entertainment district that is that successful, at least it appears to me to be that successful, is something that communities ought to be investing in. What the problem comes in is like where the Chicago Bears wanted tax certainty for the next 50 years, which would have rung to the tune of like $100 billion, something absurd, right? But a community offering 1.5 billion and having the end result of the project be an entertainment district like you have in Arlington, I think that's smart. That's smart community business. Yeah. Although I don't know how desperate. No, because they're going to make that. They're going to make over 1.5 billion for the city over. Yeah, no. All right, let's not worry about that. Anyway, I don't know. Again, Adam knows more about it than me, but we're dealing with dollar signs here in Chicago that are much bigger than 1.5 billion. 1.5 billion sounds like a reasonable ask for infrastructure around a new entertainment district. Whoa, what is this? What? Okay, so I'm just gonna go with what Adam says here. 1 billion for the Rangers in 2018. Okay, is that a one-time 1 billion? Because you can probably make that up as the city that is home to the Rangers. But 273 billion for the Cowboys in 2006? No, 273, but that stadium cost 2 billion to build. So is it 273 billion in tax guarantees for like that? Is that what you're saying? Because yeah, that's crazy. That I don't like that deal. I don't like that deal at all. Let the Cowboys move somewhere else. Keep the Rangers and Six Flags. You'll be fine. I don't know. I don't know enough. Adam seems to be more into that. So we will move on. Anyway, stadium issues. The Mavericks seem like they've done a good thing. I do. I applaud the Mavericks move. I think it's great. Although I do want to see what Victory Plaza is in 10 years. What is it in 10 years? They're going to go back to being a rail yard? They had the right. Wasn't that what it was? Wasn't it a rail yard or something? All right. Let's see. What else do we have? How about this? Chud. We got a Chud update. Chud's still in jail. That's good. That's really all the update we need. He's still in jail. But it's being reported that Chud is begging the judge to release his 2018 F-250 because it was when he was arrested, it was seized or whatever, and apparently it's been in the police lockup the entire time that he's been in jail. And Chud is begging the judge to release the F-250 because his fiance has no way to get around, no other means of transportation. This is shocking to me. This is shocking to me. Do you remember what we were talking about earlier when we were talking about the lure of OnlyFans and why so many girls seem to be leveraging their moral principles or whatever? Maybe they don't have them, but whatever. Where it seems like, the moral question of selling your body for the prurient gratification of strangers, that moral question is being confronted more and more by Gen Z girls, as we've seen. Sophie Rain, what'd she make? 80 million? Talked about her at the beginning. 80 million? Okay, so people are going to call you a slut. You got 80 million. Okay, so your dad will maybe never talk to you again. 80 million. Hey, my dad's dead. I've never talked to my dad. I'll take the 80 million. Strange times. This whole generation, man. I don't know what this generation is going to be. This might be the end of us. This generation might fuck up so badly. And again, I am not one of these people who always hated the previous generation, man. I used to stick up for millennials all the time. I wasn't one of these, the damn, I wasn't, I swear to God. But I am raising a Gen Z, and I am seeing just a totally different kind of way of seeing the world and operating within it. So Chud needs his truck because his fiance doesn't have. First, I thought he was gay. Thought that came out, but whatever. He's got a girlfriend. Everybody needs a beard to go with a Village People mustache. So Chud apparently is a broke ass, which is shocking to me because he was so high profile. He had so many followers. And isn't that the thing? These influencers, right? We all think, because we see the 19-year-old kid with 5 Lamborghinis and we think, oh my God, they all make this money. Apparently, Chud was doing all of this shit. He was becoming famous as one of the most despicable human beings on the planet, and he wasn't even making bank. He lives in a shitty apartment with a fiance, and they only have one vehicle. Now, I was stunned when he couldn't make his $1 million bond because I thought these miscreants made $1 million a week. Right? That's what we're led to believe. which is why this is kind of encouraging to me, because although he is famous for being something that I think most of us would agree he should not be rewarded for just being a complete fucking stick, right? That's what he is. So good. So he's broke ass. All right. A little bit of faith in humanity. He hasn't been able to turn his just unnecessary bullshit. He hasn't been able to turn that into some kind of lifestyle that allows him more than one vehicle. So that's good. All right. No word on what the judge had to say about it. All right. Here we go. This is nice. Let's just listen to this together. This is very nice. Happy to see it. Let's share this moment. A little something from the Howard Stern show.
Robin, it gives me a chill to even say it, but this is kind of big news. I have an exclusive concerning Robin, and it really is amazing news. It's crazy news. It's miracle news, but here it is, and it's what I think you've been hoping to hear. I think all of us have. Robin has started an OnlyFans account. And will be fully, are you fully nude or just topless on there?
I'm going to start off just topless.
Yeah. And she's going to make a fortune. She ran into some financial problems and finally decided it. To be able to see full.
I didn't want to tell anybody. I was so embarrassed, but I have to do OnlyFans now.
No, Robin, let's stop making jokes. This is honestly the best news ever. Go ahead.
I'm cancer free.
Hey!
What do you think of that? Wow. Robin kicked cancer's ass. They said it couldn't be done. Robin is a fighter. And in all seriousness, it's unbelievable because this is what, you and I have talked about for 14 years.
Yeah.
That the goal was to get rid of the cancer. And, you don't know when you start the journey whether or not it's going to do you in or you're going to get rid of it. But one thing about Robin, she researched, she got the answers she needed. And here's the good lesson. She took charge. I'm going to say this because this is really true. I've watched the whole thing. She took charge of her health. She started to do all the right things. She never deviated. And I'm telling you, Robin, on behalf of this show and, of course, to me, you're the most important, and I love you, and I am so happy for you, and I don't even know what you must be feeling inside, but if you kick cancer in the balls.
I feel like a brand new person.
Now, do me a favor. I had a horrible thought.
What?
Don't go out and get hit by a car or something like that. Don't do something stupid where, like after
all right, there you have it. That's great news. I liked hearing that, and I wanted to just play it because that's hearing that. Just I can't tell you how long it's been since I've listened to Howard Stern. Like I don't really. It's not. There was a time in my life. Well, for 10 years he was the show that preceded mine, so I would listen every morning. They were great. That was a great show. I know a whole bunch of you now because of political reasons. You have to deny that it was ever great and whatever. No, that shit was great. That was nice to hear that. That takes me back. Hearing those two talk like that. Anyway, there you have it. Congratulations to Robin Quivers. Never met Robin Quivers. Been in the same room as Howard Stern twice, but I never actually. Yeah. Know John quite well. Know Gary quite well. Like all the peripherals, know those people quite well. But anyway, good for Robin. That's great. 14-year battle with cancer. Robin Quivers is now officially cancer-free. All right, let's talk about the Black Crowes. A band that I really like. And I like them for a number of reasons. I like them because I think that they're, as far as musicians go, they're really good. They're really they are such a great bar band. I mean, I have an affinity for bands that can crush in bars. The songwriting, I think their songwriting is incredible. I love Chris Robinson's voice. She Talks to Angels is like one of the most beautiful songs ever written. And I don't care who you are. She Talks to Angels. Come on. The way that Chris Robinson performs that song, the vocal performance, just incredible. So, okay. So there's where we go with the Black Crowes, but I've seen the Black Crowes too a couple of times. So I am a fan. I guess I can't say that I've been an active fan in 30 years. because I don't know when the last time, hey, little woman, little bit chicken, because my mom took out the hand and out, right? Too hard to handle, right? But she talks to angels. She talks to angel. Anyway, so that's the song that they were about to go into here. The big, Grant, I imagine that's like one of the big closers that the Black Crowes would do. They're doing their Black Crowes Great American Tour or whatever, playing down in Florida over the weekend. To a big crowd. I mean, the Black Crowes are a good band. Like, the Black Crowes to me are not a band that you would expect to see at Taste of Addison. Like, the Black Crowes to me are a band that if they want to play, they will play at a nice theater. Or, the Black Crowes are a legit band to me. I don't know how the rest of you, some people might be like, oh, what are they, one-hit wonders? No, they're not. They're a really good band. Anyway, that Colorado scene, man, there was like a scene in Colorado that was really good. There were a lot of really good Big Head Todd and the Monsters, probably the most underrated band of the era. Anyway, Black Crowes. So they're playing in Florida. And if you're familiar with the Black Crowes, you know that their long-standing logo is a crow. It's a crow who wears a Uncle Sam hat. It's always been that way. So on this tour, apparently they took a break and encore, and they came back. And on the big giant screen in the darkened theater there in Florida was just the Black Crow with the Uncle Sam hat. Now, apparently, because it's Florida and jingoism is nowhere in America is jingoism more embraced than in the late state of Florida. So when the Black Crow came on the screen with the Uncle Sam hat, a USA, USA, USA chant broke out among these Florida people. Now, apparently the band came back out and USA, USA, and Chris Robinson is going to start to try and get into She Talks to Angel. And everybody's doing USA, USA, because it's Florida, right? And let's be honest, there's a lot of things converging here. Like, I would think the Black Crowes would still be embraced in Florida. They've got a very Florida Southern rock, all right, trailer park kind of vibe to them. So, I imagine there's a lot of dudes in Florida who are like, man, you want to go see the Crowes? USA, USA is what the crowd is doing. All right, so they won't settle down, and Chris Robinson decides that he's had enough. Chris Robinson, lead singer, starts to blast the crowd. Here, we got some audio of it. Let's listen to this. So this is Chris Robinson. Where is this, the audio? Make sure we have the audio. One of these is, hold on. Let me see. Chris Robinson got into it with fans at the Black Crowes Florida concert, beefing with folks who began chanting USA, USA. Wait, do we have the video of it? Where's the video? Here's the deal. The band was performing Sunday in Tampa as a part of their Southern Hospitality Tour when a visual thrown on screen reportedly showed the band's Black Crow character dressed as Uncle Sam. A source tells TMZ before the band started playing She Talks to Angels, very serious song, the crowd began chanting USA, USA. That's when Chris Robinson, the lead singer, addressed the crowd saying, thanks for the geography lesson. All right. He's being snarky. Thanks for the geography lesson. When the crowd kept chanting, Chris added, I don't know what you have to be so proud of right now. I don't know what you got to be so proud of right now. Lead singer starts yelling at the Florida audience for you. Look, you can roll your eyes because, you're put off by gratuitous displays of jingoism, as I said. And that's what it is. Like, anytime I see a guy wearing the American flag pin, that's such bullshit. That is your project. You're trying to make me think something about you before I judge that you're a shitty politician. You're putting the American, well, I can't dislike him because he's got a Jesus cross and he's got a flag. He's telling me that no matter what he says, that's bullshit. Or the people on social media who's the big flag or the eagle. And they're like, oh, fuck you. You're trying too hard. You're trying to, we all love this country. We're all Americans. Stop it. Anyway. So we can roll our eyes at that, but if you're the lead singer of the Black Crowes and this is your crowd who have paid money to come see you, you probably should control yourself, you emotional baby. All right, so where's the audio? I guess, let me see if I can find the audio. Because I know one of these clips has audio in it. Come on. Nope, that's a commercial for Fox. All right, let me see. Doesn't matter. I always pick the wrong one. If I've got two choices, I will always pick the wrong one. All right, here we go. All right, this is the audio. So this is how it went down, and then we'll talk about it. Excuse me. Boom. All right, very good. All right.
Some of us have.
All right. So all right. This is Chris Robinson talking to the crowd.
Some of us have real faith. And for those of you booing us, some of us are not afraid. And we most assuredly are not ignorant. So thank you.
All right, so he just called half his crowd ignorant. Now, what we missed, I guess this recording picks up after what I just told you that he said to the crowd. He said, thanks for the they're like, USA, USA. And he said, thanks for the geography lesson. And I don't know what you people have to be so proud of right now. And the whole crowd started booing him. And he responded when they booed him with this.
Some of us have real faith.
All right, so I think that right there, I think he's challenging what he perceives and I perceive as the bullshit Christianity that seems to have taken hold of government there in Florida. I think that's what he means when he says, some of us have real faith. You can think this stuff, Chris, but keep your mouth shut. This is not the way to treat your audience. All they did to trigger you was chant USA, USA. And then that probably made you think, oh, these fuckers, It doesn't even mean that he's anti-American. He just knows that the whole modern USA, USA jingo thing is tied to bullshit. And I think that's what he's reacting to. But he's too much of an entitled rock star or emotional or psychological infant that he can't control himself in front of his fucking fans who are still showing up for him 40 years after he had a hit.
And for those of you booing us, some of us are not afraid. And we most assuredly are not ignorant. So thank you.
All right, so you told your audience unnecessarily, again, consistent. I am spotting things that are just unnecessarily riling people up, and I'm calling them out. That was the whole point I was trying to make about pride, but okay, we're going to move on from that because I couldn't get my point across yesterday. Not to any satisfactory measure of my mind anyway. Okay, so you got to shut your mouth here, man. So you come out, you've got the Black Crowes. Your Black Crow has the Uncle Sam hat on it. People are like, USA, USA. It's the end of the concert. You're getting ready to lay down with your big hit. You got to be in a certain mind frame to do the whole shit talks to angel, right? The mood is wrong. Mood is wrong now. How are you going to sell? How are you going to compel me to believe what you're about to sing in one of the most beautiful songs ever written after you've just called your audience fake Christians who are ignorant? Dumb move, man. Dumb move. I am not a shut up and play, but I am a make a choice. He made a choice. He made a choice to do the wrong thing. I'll tell you this. I would love to see how his brother, Rich Robinson, I would love to see how Rich reacted backstage. I bet you all they do is fight. They are the American Gallagher brothers. Chris and Rich Robinson, all they did the entire time the Black Crowes were popular was fight, cancel shows. They were dwarfed by the popularity of Oasis. Those brothers were even nuttier, and they talked funny. So we were more interested in what the Oasis guys were doing. But make no mistake, I bet you there was a fight backstage. I bet you Rich Robinson was like, why'd you say that? The fuck, man? We've got 4 more shows here in Florida. Anyway, Black Crows. There you have it. And he's not apologizing. He's not apologizing. All right, let's see. What else do we have here today? 3 videos. Let's do our 3 video segment. This is where I like to show 3 videos that are going around viral, things that I think are fun, things that I wanted to comment on. First of all, let's focus on this little king. This dude is awesome. Look, man. I had an experience like this once. Okay. So I was I think it was maybe like junior high or something. And there was like a talent show at our junior high. And this like nerdy kid, like this kid, he wasn't like really popular. And he was like kind of he was a marginalized kid. And he got up and his talent, we're like, oh, what the hell is this guy going to do? And his talent was he could make wall shadows. You make the bunny and stuff like that, right? You use a light and you project it with your thing on the shadow on the wall. The thing that we all do it in some way as kids when we learn how shadows work. Anyway, this was going to be his talent. And this kid gets up there and we're like, oh, this is going to be gay. Because it's 1983. We're like, fuck this kid. This kid sucks. He eats boogers. What's he doing? Boo! Boo! Because it was the 80s. We had no rules. We were allowed to boo. And he comes out and he's like, he was an Indian kid too. That probably didn't help, right? His parents were like actually, I think he was Persian. I think he was Iranian. Anyway, we were not accepting. We were not accepting. We're like, weird brown kid. Weird brown. We were terrible. Oh my God, we were bad. Hey, look. Admitting we were terrible and understanding we were terrible and making sure that we don't pass this on, that's, the best we can hope for. Because we were fucking terrible. We were terrible. Oh, this kid sucks. So he comes out and he starts to do, the little animal things. And he's like, this is a rabbit. Seriously, he talked like that. He's like, this is a rabbit. And we're all like, boo! I can do a rabbit! This fucking kid, over the next 10 minutes, blew everybody's mind in the gym. This kid did Abe Lincoln. This kid was like Abe Lincoln. And he makes like this Abe, and it's the hat and everything, and it's the beard, and you're like, holy fuck! Holy swarm of bees. And he's like, it's like, holy fuck! He slayed. He absolutely crushed it. And I will never forget that. I was like, man, that kid, good for him. That's a moment for him. We're like, you're gay. And then he blows our mind. All right. So this video here reminds me of that. This comes to us from what appears to be another middle school, some kind of a talent contest. The kid's going to get up and he's going to do his talent. And it's, he's not going to sing. He's not going to shatter glass with his voice or shred with a guitar, but he's got something he can do. And I don't think there was a whole lot of faith in this kid when he got up. But let me tell you, just like that kid, that Persian kid from Norbert F. Jerling Junior High School who slayed back in 1983, this kid here gets up and does the same thing. All right, watch this. This is great. This kid's a little king. And he probably will never have a girlfriend or anything, but this moment will never be taken away from this kid. All right, check this out.
All right, the first one is the creepy sound of the common loon. Oh, yeah.
All right, so he's doing bird sounds, okay? Look at him, and he's awkward, and he's nervous, and I don't know if this kid is popular. Look, obviously, this kid's going to do a karate demonstration. He's probably the bully. He's sitting front row, just looking at this kid. He's like, all right, I'm going to do the common loon. Kid has no girlfriends, but just watch. Watch this little king.
There we go.
All right. What else?
Give you 2 species of crows: the American crow and the fish crow. Be prepared, but this one's loud.
This kid
And then the fish crow.
And he's just throwing the bird like he's putting on a show, man. This kid is probably showing a side of him that none of his classmates have ever seen, and he's crushing.
And then the eastern bluebird.
All right, yeah, move on. That's fine.
Then the Indian peacock.
All right, we're gonna be done with that. It goes on for another 4 minutes, and he just gets better and better. He's just nailing these things. He's a nerd. He's never gonna have a girlfriend, but holy shit, that kid is good at something. And for one moment in his life, he knows that he stood up and he crushed a room. Good for him. All right. that loon. I live on a lake. That was perfect. That was like perfect. And then the first crow that he did, perfect. You know, that used to be a thing. Making bird calls, that used to be a thing that was to some degree celebrated. And by that I mean, I don't know, bird calling champion would go on Johnny Carson once a year, right? And then Carson would have like somebody, and then you'd watch Merv Griffin and they'd have a bird caller on. It was like a thing in the 70s, and we don't really see it much anymore, except apparently this kid's probably got a grandpa who was on Carson back in 1976. I love it. All right, there you go. That's our first of 3 vids. Here, now, this next one is really cute. This next one is so cute because I love pit bulls. Pit bulls, I love them. Most misunderstood dog breed on the planet. If you've ever lived with one, you understand how special they are. This is a funny video. Now, the way I'm going to present it to you is not actually what's happening, but if you accept the premise, it's pretty funny to watch. So here's the premise. So this pit bull has apparently caused a litter of puppies to be born. This pit bull is responsible for these puppies. And the pit bull's master has brought one of the puppies and is confronting the pit bull about, this is your responsibility now. And the pit bull is behaving in a very funny way, a very pit bully way. This is a very pit bully move. But look, the dog is not shirking responsibility for this. No, that's not what's happening. But it is pretty funny. Let's watch this video. Because if you know pit bulls, this is such a pit bull move.
Foxy, this is your boy. Okay, you gonna be like that? Look, you already crying. Get here, your seed. This is your seed. Okay. You don't want your son?
Leave him alone, bro. That ain't his kid, bro.
He growled at it.
That's not his kid, bro. Leave him alone.
Boss.
He don't know where she been. That's right,
like
boss.
you.
Stand
This
on
is your only
business.
son.
He don't look like you, boy.
You gotta take care of your kid.
Stand on business, boy.
Stop being mean.
All
Yeah.
right, there you go. That's a funny video. However, don't try that at home. That is not what was happening with that dog. Anybody who has been around dogs who have puppies, and I was pit bull puppies. I was in a house staying with somebody whose pit bull had a litter. We had like 15 pit bulls at one point. Anyway, loved them. They were great. The mother sends the male dogs away from the puppies. Male dogs do not hang out for the birth, right? They're not pacing in the doggy waiting room. Male dogs are sent away from the birthing process by the mother. And when the male dog comes back into the room, the mother will be like, ah, like growling, like, get the fuck out of here. It has something to do with the fact that the father might kill the babies. Animals do not have that same thing that we have, where we recognize inherently our offspring, or at least we're supposed to have this sort of connection with it. Animals don't. When that dog turned and growled at that puppy, that dog was telling that master, I don't know what I'm supposed to do here, but my instincts are telling me that I should kill that fucking thing. So you don't want to do that, but it is a funny video. I thought that was funny. Pit bulls are not what people say pit bulls are. I'm sorry, they're just not. They're anybody who is again spent. Now, You get a bad one, they're bad. If you get a bad one, you get a bad one that's got bad. Look, they're a dangerous dog, but so is a German Shepherd. They're a dangerous dog if you get a bad one. If you bring one into your house that has been abused, if you bring one into your house that has been trained to be aggressive, because see, that's the thing with pit bulls. It's that if you need a dog to do these terrible things the dog shouldn't be doing, a pit bull is the top of the food chain. They are small, they are determined, they are mean and aggressive and tough, and they're smart. They can learn anything. So if you raise a pit bull up from the time it's a baby to be fucking, looking to tear the leg off anybody that it sees, you're going to have a killing machine. But if you just get a pit bull puppy from a puppy pound or something like that, and you raise it with love as the family dog, that dog's going to be awesome. That dog's going to be amazing. People make the animals horrible, okay? Well, at least in the context of talking about domesticated animals. These animals are domesticated. They're not wild. They don't have that streak where you can't control what they're going to do from moment to moment. That is a wild streak. That's a feral streak. It doesn't exist in domesticated animals, and it never existed with pit bulls because pit bulls were never in the wild. Pit bulls are an amalgamation of a whole bunch of other domesticated dog breeds. They were never wolves other than maybe 10,000 years ago, the way every dog was a wolf. That Chihuahua was a wolf if we're going to make this kind of argument. All right, so love that pit bull. He's very cute. All right, now let me show you this one. This, I like to remind us, folks, we can all die at any moment, and we just have to be happy. We have to choose to be optimistic. We have to choose to make every moment, every breath, a happy breath, right? Because life comes at you fast, as Ferris Bueller once told us. Look at this. Now, a couple of things going on here. First of all, this comes to us from the Ukraine, okay? This is the Ukraine. Haven't these people been at war for like 4 years now? This looks like business. This looks like a totally normal. People are crossing the street. People are shopping. There are cars out. I mean, I guess, my image of what's going on in Ukraine is maybe a little bit perverted by false information or whatever. But here we go. This comes to us from the Ukraine. Just some people walking on a crosswalk. I want you to watch what happens because life comes at you fast. Hold on, I want to kill the music. We don't need the music. I hate the music. All right. You see these two people? Look at them. Who is this? Is this your mom? Your mom and your aunt just out for a little stroll? What could go wrong? Well, quite frankly, they're in Ukraine, so a drone could kill them all at any moment. So I guess there's a lot that could go wrong. But on the list of things that they were looking out for when they left the house this morning, what is about to happen to them was not on the list. And here we go. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, Jesus. Jesus. Are you watching that? Did you see that? It didn't happen too fast because they slowed it down for us. A freaking deer comes out of nowhere and jumps into a pack of people, knocking this old woman out cold. She is clocked. Watch this again. No way she ever saw this coming. It's this poor lady in the green jacket. What is going on here? First of all, it's a baby deer, which is good. Look at this thing. Look at this thing. It's just, where did it jump from? Oh, not the woman in the green jacket. The woman in the white. Look at that. That is full impact. Look at this thing. Where is it coming from? All right, let's see if it hits. Does it hit with the body, like the chest, the full momentum weight of the deer as it's carrying itself through the air? Oh, it sure does. And look at where it hits her. She's unconscious. That took her right out in the chin. That's like what's known as a hinge shot. That animal hit right on the hinge. Flash knockout. Holy shit. Look at it. And then kicks her in the head on the way out. And then just scampers off into the woods. It's a little baby deer. What's this? What? Nobody's, come on. Only one person reacts to this? Look at this dude. He's on his phone. He's like, what was that? I should have been filming it. Oh, okay, now he's coming over. All right, they got her. Oh, my God, this poor woman. Jesus. How did grandma lose her sense of smell? Well, she was crossing the street and a deer came out of nowhere and knocked her head into the pavement, and now she can't smell anything. Shit. All right, there you have it. Life comes at you fast, man. Like I said, she never planned on that. All right, let's wrap up today's show with something that we've been doing to wrap up each and every show, because I am Baseball Johnny. We call it Can't Beat Fun at the Old Ballpark, and every day I focus on something having to do with fun at the old ballpark. Well, baseball's been going through a lot of changes these last 5 years. I happen to be a fan of just about everything. I can't pick one innovation or change to baseball. We didn't even talk about the players union and the salary cap and all that stuff. Well, we're not going to talk about that. Why would we do that? Anyway, baseball's been making some changes because baseball as a sport, if you were to go back 10 years ago, absolutely sucked. It was boring. It was slow. It had lost the luster. It had been long since passed up by the National Football League as America's pastime. No matter how much the oldsters want to tell you, baseball was in decline. And then they started to make some changes. They tried to make the sport, and this was the big problem with the sport, they tried to make the sport more TV friendly, which meaning, can we get this thing to split inside 3 hours? Can we guarantee that these games, because at that point you can do a national game in prime time and you can, not interrupt the network news or whatever on all your affiliates. That's what they wanted. They wanted to keep these games inside 3 hours. Now, there's no guarantee of that because, again, baseball has extra innings and stuff. But still, that was one of the ideas behind the pitch clock, stopping the pitcher from controlling the pace of the game to fit whatever benefits him. That's kind of the reason for the pitch clock. And I love it. Man, I watched that little number tick down and I'm like, get it off. I love it. Ghost Runner, we talked about that, man. There is no reason for us to have to sit here and watch 19 innings of baseball. Two teams, they've been playing for 19 innings. It's 1-1. They're not hitting today. Can we do something to speed this up? So the Ghost Runner was instituted. That's where at the start of extra innings, each team gets a runner on second, like somebody let off and hit a double. Let's wrap this up. Let's get out of here before sunrise. So games are quicker. Games are more, I'm going to say decisive, I suppose, or more apt to end before, the turn of a calendar day, the way it used to. This game has now gone into its second day. That's what they used to say. So those are all good. This year we've got the ABS, which again is the being able to challenge balls and strikes, which is something that as a catcher, never, first rule of baseball, can't challenge balls. You just got to accept it. The home plate umpire is fucking Mussolini back there. Whatever he says, and you know what? If you question him, you're out. He'll throw you out, and ain't nobody going to question that. Nobody ever questioned that. That was just normalized. That whatever the umpire said was the absolute truth. And it turns out now we have ABS, the ability to challenge balls and strikes. Turns out the umpire's wrong all the time. All the time. The most shocking thing about the ABS challenge system in baseball this year is that, I thought that we were going to see that maybe umps were wrong 2 out of 10 times. The umps are wrong 8 out of 10 times. 8 out of 10. You know who's always right? The catchers. Catchers are always right. Catchers have an incredibly high challenge success rate. Umpire ball, or umpire will say it's a ball, and the catcher will be like, let's check it out, and then we'll see it in slow motion. We're like, that wasn't even close to being a ball. That umpire, that is embarrassing. All right, so those are some of the new changes that we've seen that I think have really, really made baseball more enjoyable. We got another one coming, and they always do these down in the minor leagues first. Okay. Now, this thing here as a catcher, again, this is something that I hated this. This was so inaccurate. The perspective of tell us if the swinger went around or not. You know that? The whole check swing thing? Oh, did he check his swing? Let's check it third. And third's like, nah. All right, so the check swing thing has always fucking bugged me because the bat's got to break the outside line of the plate. As a catcher, that's what I was told. So when I am looking for the swing, I am looking for where the bat goes and did it cross that imaginary line that I've created. Now, I never had the ability to challenge anything, but I'm like, that was not a check swing. That dude went around. They fucking went around and you called it a check swing. So that's just something that we always had to deal with. Not anymore. The minor leagues have now instituted, not unlike the ABS system, a check swing system. And it's cool. It is so cool. And again, this might be catcher problems, but this is kind of a thing that's always bothered me. The inaccuracy of the check swing. No, did he go around? No. And then the next guy who does half of what that guy did he go around? Yeah. It's like, what? Where's the consistency here? All right, so here's what it looks like. They're doing it in AAA. It is, here's a challenge. This is how it went down last night in the AAA, where they are trying the new check swing. I don't know, what are they calling it? We call the other thing ABS, right? That's the ball strike thing. All right, here's what it looks like. And I'm telling you, this is coming to Major League Baseball, probably next year. All right, here it is.
3-2 home, and Kim checks his swing. He does not, and Kim is going to challenge this one. It's either ball 4 or...
Okay, ACS. All right, automatic check swing. I don't know if that...
We get a look at the ACS.
All right, hold on. Let me start from the beginning.
3-2 home.
All right. I do not believe he went around. It does not look to me like he went around.
Kim checks his swing. He does not.
Okay, and they called that a strike. Okay, third base said he went around. That doesn't look to me like he went around, but this is a great example. Doesn't look like he swung. He was called a strike. He's saying, I didn't swing. That wasn't a strike. I didn't break the plate. So now we're going to see the challenge. Here's what it looks like.
Kim is going to challenge on this one. It's either ball 4 or strike 3. We get a look at the ACS, automatic check swing challenge.
All right, so this is what it looks like. All right.
The animation shows that.
All right, so here comes the swing.
Kim did not go around.
That's awesome. He did not. All right, so that's what I was telling you. As a catcher, you're told to create this line on, perimeter crossing over the plate. And so it's always just kind of been your eyeballing it. And you're like, oh, I think this now tells you exactly where that line is. And it shows you where the bat broke the plane or didn't break the plane. This is awesome.
It's either strike 3. We get a look at the ACS, automatic check swing challenge. And the animation shows that Kim did not go around.
I think that's awesome. I think that's great. All right. Can't beat fun at the old ballpark. Man, again, I say we can't live in the past and we can't let these kinds of things drive us insane. But how many, let alone how many teams could have advanced or could have had shots at titles that they never won because of, bad umpiring or missed calls or called third strikes or whatever. Maybe the next swing would have been a home run. Who knows? We'll never know. How many players, how many pitchers, how many hitters, how many people were denied bonuses because they were called out on bullshit. Well, you struck out too many times this year. You didn't reach your bonus, but half of those were bullshit strikeouts. I don't know. It was all just faith. It was all just the umpire is always right, and we're just going to go with that. But the umpire is not always right, and yet somehow we normalized that. All right, guys, that's going to do it. One more time, I want to thank I was reading something there. Our executive producer of today's show is Leslie C. Thank you so much. Leslie tipped the show. She helped us going. Do we have one for tomorrow? Haven't heard anything yet, but who knows? Maybe when I check tomorrow, we'll have somebody that tipped the show today. We will be back tomorrow at noon for another edition of just common sense talk. I don't know what the hell I'm calling this thing. All right, I got to go. I love you guys. Got a lot to do. Thank you to Leslie. Tip the show if you can. Be back here tomorrow at noon. Like, follow, subscribe, all of that stuff. Twitter, Pugs Moran and Radio Misfits. Facebook, Pugs Moran and Radio Misfits. YouTube, just Radio Misfits on YouTube. All right, bye, everybody.